On this week's episode, Austin and Tim travel back in time to the actual day Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, to find out that movie theaters were not open. So they got back in their time machine and traveled to the next day, December 8th, 1941, and watched a whopping 8 movies, including Ladies in Retirement, Charlie Chan's Murder Cruise, The East Side Kids, another East Side Kids movie called Spooks Run Wild, the beloved comedy team Abbott and Costello in Keep 'Em Flying, William Holden and Glenn Ford in Texas, Alfred Hitchcock's Suspicion, and Fred Astaire and Rita Hayworth in You'll Never Get Rich, Murder, Intrigue, Mystery, Cowboys, Army Hijinks, Stupid Kids, Haunted Houses, Shitty Husbands. It's all coming up next here on Film Geek Time Machine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Film Geek Time Machine. I'm your host, Austin Kennedy.
I'm Tim Kaiser.
Hello.
And we're at war!
We're at war! That's right. So, this is the podcast where we have a time machine and we go back in time, sometimes to random dates, sometimes we pick the dates because we think it'd be fun.
Pretty sure we've said that since the beginning. Since the first episode was your birthday.
Right. The second was yours. Yeah, so what we do is we go back in time, watch movies, we get the newspaper, and we actually have newspapers.com, so we'll look at the newspaper beforehand to pick the movies, to try to see what will line up and what we'll see. We each pick like 2 or 3 movies. This time, we got 8 movies that we're going to be watching.
Yeah.
But we have a little story about what happened.
I'm pretty sure it's still shorter than the one with the Jesus movie.
I think so, too.
None of these are 3 hours long.
I don't think this was
And one of them is technically maybe not a movie because it's like 3 seconds short of an hour.
Yeah. So, the day that we originally picked was December 7th, 1941.
Yes.
Which was the Pearl Harbor attack.
What? Yeah. Is that? Oh, my God.
It's a little history. Well, I think you picked that. You're like, look, I want to go back to the...
I like picking dates. Historic dates. And we have a shit ton left.
We do.
Because we're spanning 100 fucking years, Austin.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right. So I thought that, so I thought that'd be cool. But what's funny, because we looked in the newspaper, and we were like... because I go to newspapers.com to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and there wasn't a listing for December 7th. So I'm like, well, I figured that we just went back in time anyway. So we just went in our time machine. We went back in time to December 7th to get the newspaper there because it was probably a mistake. Well, we discovered that all businesses were closed, and we went there, and it was pretty bleak looking because obviously everyone was in panic because we thought we were all under attack.
Everybody but children were crying.
Yeah,
children didn't care.
Right.
They weren't going to be old enough by the end of the war, they figured, to be drafted in.
But yeah, so we went back, so we're like, oh, so I guess we don't get to see movies then. So we ended up getting back in the time machine and going to the next day, December 8th. And sure enough, like right on the front newspaper is just like...
But Austin, you do know there's another way to travel one day in the future. Wait a fucking day, okay?
I suppose we
could have just done that and saved the plutonium.
Spend 25 cents for a hotel and...
Yeah, but I mean, the plutonium is the more expensive part.
That's right. I didn't want to wait.
Understandable.
Yeah. So, it was a scary place back then, because...
It was the 40s, and according to half of these movies, real weird.
So now we're on December 8th, the day after the Pearl Harbor attack, December 8th, 1941. That's what we picked. The number 1 song was Chattanooga Choo Choo. Pardon me, boys. I love that song.
Who did that song?
That was the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
Oh, was it Glenn Miller? Okay,
sure
they died during the war. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Glenn Miller and his orchestra.
There's actually, surprisingly, for a war that we weren't in yet, like 3 of these movies have the military.
Yeah.
And one of them takes place half in Honolulu.
Yeah.
We just really stumbled onto some real deep stuff here.
And then I just want to look at the radio programs because it wasn't really television back then. So we have radio programs that reviewed.
Technically,
in
that kind of was.
There was a little bit.
If you ask Adolf Hitler and he broadcast some stuff.
But there was the Orson Welles show. The Ed Sullivan Show premiered in 1941 radio program.
Well, really? I didn't even know they had a radio one before that. Weird.
Bulldog
I guess
Drummond.
it makes sense. He wasn't like, he didn't have a TV-friendly face. Okay?
Most of these I haven't heard of. So there's the Avenger radio program, Bulldog Drummond, I've heard of.
There are a lot of radio shows that we do not have any recollection of.
I don't know what any of this
Home of the Brave?
I know. The Great Gildersleeve,
What
I've
the
heard
hell
of.
is the Happy Drome?
I don't know what. The Hippodrome? No, Happy Drome. I don't know what that is.
It looks like I thought it was a thing, and then
The Happy Drome radio program produced in Britain.
It's a British show.
Oh, so it's a British show. So it's it looks like a variety show. Anyways, yeah. So radio programs were all the rage.
Oh, these are just the debuts. So there's obviously
there was
stuff
a lot
that
more
had been on the air
stuff
for
probably
years.
going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so this is we're gonna list the movies that we didn't see. So here's a bunch of movies that were out at the time. And we have one of the Thin Man movies, Shadow of the Thin Man, which I think was the fourth Thin Man movie.
I kind of weirdly would, if we're gonna do Thin Man, I'd like to do the first one.
Yeah. I've seen
then
that's the only one I've seen.
If we could weasel a way to actually see them in order,
right.
Because at this point they apparently had a kid, everything, all kinds.
They
of
did.
stuff
I have not got it to where they had the kid. So, Lady Scarface, Hold Back the Dawn.
Lady Scarface.
You Belong to Me. He married his wife. Dr. Kildare's Wedding Day. That was a series, Dr. Kildare.
Yeah, that went on the TV eventually, I think, didn't
Abbott
it?
and Costello, Hold That Ghost. So there are two Abbott and Costello movies.
Yeah.
This is the one we didn't see.
Yeah, we saw one.
Hold That Ghost. Blossoms
in
the Dust.
So that, okay, good, we can talk about a thing. Because Hold That Ghost has, obviously scary ghost shit in it.
Yeah.
And the one we watched, which is nothing to do with that, has scary ghost shit in it for some reason. Because it would be funny.
Oh, yeah. This Woman Is Mine, When Ladies Meet. A lot of these I haven't heard of. So, Barnacle Bill, I have heard of.
The Antichrist is on tour.
Okay, so we're looking at the newspaper right now, 1941, December 8th, and there's an ad that says, Antichrist destroy man through fear. Fear of poverty, fear of disease, fear of loss, fear of death. And
it's basically a guy who wanders around trying to scare people into, I don't know, hate crimes, is my guess.
Well, this ad is sponsored by the Shepherds of the Healing Christ, is what it says.
I mean, yeah. I got a picture of the guy.
Well, and it's neat looking at the paper, too, because then there's also the Hylex Home Health Defense.
This is weird, because the war was going on. We just weren't in it yet.
Well, not quite.
I mean,
we weren't...
at this point, I can't imagine there were ads this day that they wrote up in a day.
No.
Okay? Oh, here's the 8th. Oh my God, we're at war. New ads.
Right. Well, the new the front of the paper though was just had the had the Pearl Harbor attack all over it.
Which is what I always just assumed was a December 7th front page.
No,
but no, this is the 8th because there wasn't a Minneapolis Tribune.
No, I'm sure there might have been other papers, but they were closed down, so it was interesting. So the movies we didn't pick, we had it worked out that we got to see, this is our record 8 movies that we get to watch. Because a lot of B movies back then were about an hour long. Yeah. And they were still considered films. Yeah. So, and that was kind of the thing. So
two of these are almost exactly an hour. One's like an hour and 10.
Yep. Yeah. So one of them is like 59 minutes. One of them is like an hour and 4 minutes. Yeah. The first movie, it's funny. So we went and we're picking movies. Like I picked one, Tim would pick one. This movie we picked solely because it was the earliest showtime, 10 a.m., which happened before for the 1961 when we saw the gazebo.
A similar thing happened here.
And a similar thing happened.
Fucking hell is this movie amazing.
Well, first of all, let me say what the movie is.
No, fuck you, Austin.
Okay. Our first movie is Ladies in Retirement. Our second movie we did pick this is a double feature, Charlie Chan's Murder Cruise and the East Side Kids. So the East Side Kids was a series that kind of started with the Dead End Kids and from the Dead End movie.
Spin-off and then they merged
I'll go
together.
more into it when we review it. And then after that, there was another East Side Kids movie called Spooks Run Wild.
But that actually has the Dead End Kids also in there. Kids, yes. It's an early Bowery Boys thing in many ways.
And then we saw Abbott and Costello, Keep 'Em Flying. Then this is one Tim picked solely because of the title. Oh. He's like, Texas. What? There's a movie just called Texas?
It's Texas.
Texas. All right, and then Alfred Hitchcock's Suspicion, and then You'll Never Get Rich, which is Fred Astaire, Rita Hayworth, in one of her first starring roles.
Yeah.
Musical, which I picked those last two. I've seen Suspicion before.
We hadn't done a Fred Astaire thing yet.
No, we haven't done Fred Astaire, and I really like. We haven't done Gene Kelly, so hopefully we'll get a Gene Kelly movie.
We'll weasel it in.
Anyway, so those are the 8 movies that we got to watch. So the first movie is Ladies in Retirement, and I guess spoiler alert. This movie's really fucking good.
Yeah, because I watched it again afterwards. Holy shit, is this movie?
Yeah.
I was like halfway through this movie, and I'm like, is this movie really good?
Yeah.
And then as it goes, I'm like, this movie just gets better and better, and it's amazing.
Yeah. So, this movie, again, so when we watched The Gazebo back on episode 4 or whatever, we just picked that movie solely because it was the first movie showing that day, and then we were like, holy crap, that was such a surprise.
Oh, this is better than Gazebo.
The same thing kind of happened here. And so, so this movie is directed by Charles Vidor. He's not known today as like Orson Welles or anything like Howard Hawks, but he was just a prominent studio director, and he was very reliable. He just made solid films. And this stars... I can't remember, is it her name? Ida Lupino, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure exactly.
I don't know who she is.
Yeah.
But she's good.
Oh, no, she's awesome.
Everybody in this movie is fucking phenomenal.
Oh, you've never seen her before? Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I have.
Oh, she's terrific.
But her sisters will blow you away. Fuck, they're good in this.
So Ida Lupino is a great actress, so I'm going to click on her. So she died in 95 at the age of 77. But what's cool about her is that she actually, after starring in a bunch of movies, she actually directed some movies.
Oh,
so
cool.
she started directing.
So
a very early
cool.
female director.
The Hitchhiker, The Bigamist.
Yeah.
Austin Kennedy. Those are from 1953. We could have seen better movies in 1953.
Yeah, instead of Houdini. No, so I thought that she's a cool actress, and then Lewis Hayward, and I don't know if you know this about the main actor here. They were married. Lupino and Lewis Hayward, the two leads in the movie, the male lead and the female lead, were married at the time.
They're really good because they don't look like they like each other.
No.
Maybe they were truly married. They fucking loathed each other.
They got divorced like 3 years later. Okay. So, but yeah, they were married for 3 years at this point. And
he's the only real male character.
Ida Lupino, she was only like 23 in this movie.
She plays a lot older.
She plays a lot older, but
she's like the older sister of those two basically middle-aged women.
Well, and I don't even know. They never said older. I think just more responsible. They never said older.
Not.
Anyways,
it sounded like it felt. I guess I got the feeling she was the older.
So the movie also stars Elsa Lanchester and then Edith Barrett. Elsa Lanchester she's known for being the bride in Bride of Frankenstein. That's Elsa Lanchester.
What?
Yeah, that's who plays Emily.
How did I not know about this movie?
Yeah, I didn't know about it either. Ladies,
this movie is just on YouTube. By the way, just fucking go to YouTube. Watch it. Here's the thing: we haven't even really started talking about this.
No, we haven't.
Stop the podcast.
Yeah.
Go watch this fucking movie. Yeah. Come back. Listen to the rest.
Yeah,
of the podcast.
I will say this: this movie, and maybe because we didn't know anything about it.
Nope.
And
I found the name to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. It's like, ooh, ladies in retirement.
There was like one lady. There was like one lady in retirement in this entire movie.
So maybe it means something else. I don't know.
And she doesn't make it halfway through the movie.
So what's interesting is you're watching the movie, and as it unfolds, that's kind of was half the fun of this movie because you're like, holy crap, I didn't know what was going there. Oh, yeah. And you're like, what? And so if you don't want to know anything about it, don't listen to this portion of the podcast.
It starts off, the opening credits, I'm like, is this a horror movie? And then halfway through, I'm like, this is essentially a fucking horror movie.
So, essentially a Hitchcock film.
Yeah.
And so what's great about this is the opening credits of this film, where they have the titles in the lake with the ripples.
Yeah. I was like, how the fuck did they do that in 1941?
And then it pans over, and then it's just showing the titles in like in the grass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap.
So beautiful.
And so the camera just pans over, and it's playing kind of like this kind of haunting classical music, and you're like, okay, what's going on? So, okay, here we go. Ellen Creed, it's Ida Lupino's character. She is, I guess it's a spinster or whatever. She doesn't have she's like older lady that doesn't, I mean, she's not older,
she's
but
retired. Oh, yeah, now who are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the main character.
Oh, no.
They call her a spinster, but
she's not. She's like the housemaid.
Yeah, she's the housemaid.
She like runs the house.
Yes.
For this other lady.
Yes. And
because there's also a maid.
Yeah, so this is like in England, but it's like in the country. So there's like nothing around.
In the bogs or something, they said.
And there's nothing around.
Every time you're outside, I'm like, fuck, this set is fucking amazing.
None of this is location, so it's all on a set, and it's incredible.
It's incredible.
It was nominated for Best Art Direction.
Oh, it should have been.
Yeah.
Every time they're outside, I'm like, I know this isn't at a real place because this looks better than the real place. Okay?
It was really cool looking. Yeah, so she's taking care of. She's like a housekeeper for this old lady, and the old lady's name is, I forgot the names of all the characters.
Yeah, well, it was the first movie of 8. Okay.
Oh yeah, companion to her old friend Lenora. So that's it. Yeah. So it's Lenora. So it's this old lady, and who's rich. She's got a lot of money. She's got like
she used to be an actor.
Yeah. She has like a vault with all her goods
is like
and her money.
Mid 1800s too, because it's all horse and carriage.
Yep.
And shit like that.
Yep. Anyway, she's taking care of her, but she has Ellen has 2 sisters that are mentally ill, or whatever what they would say.
I don't know. I think they're just fun and weirdos.
No, right. Now they're just being weird.
I don't think they're gonna hurt anybody.
No,
they are dumb.
They're just they're
a
nuisance and they're annoying.
Oh, they are very annoying.
So,
and I'm glad I don't live there, but I'm glad I'm watching this movie with them.
Yeah. So. But anyways, they were at in London. They were staying with someone, and now the people that were running the place were just like, "We want them out of here. We're gonna send them to an insane asylum. We want them out of here."
They're too annoying.
And Ellen is like, "Okay, I'm trying to take care of them." So she's like, "Hey, can they come and visit
for like a day or 2?"
Right. But already you can already tell that she's planning on having them live 100%. With her. You already know. But so then Lenore's like, "Yeah, go ahead. They can come over, sure." Fine.
They skip like months in this thing because they've been there forever.
Yeah. So they come in. So this is just a nutshell. There's a couple other things going on. So they come in, and the old lady immediately hates them because they're just like, one of them's bringing like sticks in and throw them in the middle of the
she's cleaning up the river side. Oh, I have to tidy up the side of the riverside. Yeah. It's the outside, lady.
Yeah. So then there's another subplot there with another housekeeper that's there named Lucy. She's a younger blonde, and then this guy comes over. And it's apparently the nephew of Ellen, which through a different marriage. I don't think it's even blood related.
They're not blood related.
No.
He says nephew. Her and the sisters all know him.
Yeah.
After they figure out who it is, because they haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
So they seems to be a similar age to them.
But this guy is a shyster. He is a con man, and he is conning the old lady for money. And even though the old lady kind of figures that that's what he's doing, she doesn't care because he's a hottie. Because he's a hottie. She's like, he's charming. He's nice. I'll just whatever.
And whatever.
And then
it's like 12 pounds or something.
Yeah.
Which back then is $18 trillion.
But then he kind of like woos the other lady, Lucy, and
the
stuff.
pretty one.
Yeah. Well, they're all pretty.
But I mean, he considers her to be the pretty one.
Right.
Oh yeah, they're all fucking movie stars.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so that's a subplot. But then they kind of take that away, and then you don't. They focus on something else. Yeah. That comes back later into play.
Yeah. Because he leaves. Yeah. He legitimately leaves after this like 5-minute scene.
Yeah. Yep.
And he doesn't come back for like a fucking 45 minutes.
Yeah. This is still, we're not even past the first half hour yet.
No.
So this is where the spoilers would come in. The old lady is like, I want them out. I don't care. Then you can take your severance pay and you get out of here too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you get out of here.
You could have a month's pay or whatever.
Oh yeah, you get out of here. And so what happens is, Ina Lupino, she is just very... nothing gets between her and her sisters.
Yes.
She's very dedicated to her sisters. You can already tell, and I'm like, is she?
They telegraph it early.
Right. And I'm like, are they going to do it? I mean, they kind of telegraph that she's going to murder.
Well, she puts the necklace on the old lady. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that was real creepy.
Are they?
And something bad's going to happen.
Are they going to
very
do that?
Similar. Oh, it happens like halfway through the movie.
Yeah. No, it's time. It's a half an hour. It's like really? 33 minutes into the movie.
It's like a full hour of the movie at post-murder?
Yeah.
Wow.
So she takes a rope and strangles her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't show it, which works better.
Well, it's like what Hitchcock probably would have done.
You don't want to sit there and watch an old lady struggle.
Oh, no.
It's not what the movie's about.
No.
Okay?
So she tells her sisters, I'm like, hey, I swear to me on the Bible that you...
She got rid of the sisters for like a day.
Yeah.
Go do this
But then she's like...
Because I need to talk to her
I'm going to sell... But she says, the lady sold me the house and she went away. and that's kind of what she's telling people or whatever. Or actually, she tells people that she just went away.
She
on
only
a trip.
tells her sisters that, and she says, "You cannot tell anybody this.
Yeah,
this is a secret."
Yeah. Well, anyways, the guy comes back, and Lucy also doesn't know what's going on. She's still there. So the guy comes back, which I always forget his name, Albert. So Albert comes back, and then he's skeevy on the ladies a little bit. And he's also trying to scheme them, trying to get money from the vault again. And he wants some money, but then you find out when they open up the vault and it's all bricked up.
Yeah,
so
because I'm pretty sure there's a dead body in there.
I'm pretty sure
they
there's
don't really make it clear, but I'm like, that's where that fucking dead body is.
They made it. I think they made it clear enough.
They make it clear. They aren't going to show that dead body.
No, but they it's pretty well implied that it's in there. But anyways, so he's trying to be like, well, what happened to her and stuff, and then him and Lucy kind of maybe want to try to get proof that maybe something happened to her. So then they start like doing like the ghost thing where they try to pretend that the ghost of her is back to see what her reaction would, Ellen's reaction would be.
It wasn't a good reaction.
No, so they're like, oh, okay, we're pretty sure that she killed her.
Yeah.
But you know what? Albert doesn't care. He's like, he wants in on the thing too. He's like, hey, we can go in together on this thing, and we can, what else can we do?
Now that I know, I want half the money.
Right, exactly. So he doesn't really give a shit. Essentially, so that's the kind of the movie where you're trying to, like, is she going to get away with it? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
This movie, yeah, you're right. This movie it's really well directed. Really, it's beautiful.
It was a play. It was on Broadway for
it all takes place on that cottage.
Yeah, it's all in that cottage. There's like one scene where they're on like a carriage.
Yeah.
Which is basically right by there.
Yeah.
And it's one of the many outdoor scenes that you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, this set is amazing.
This movie really, really surprised me. Well, right away with the opening titles, I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's really classy looking. And then when, the stuff with the sisters are happening, I'm like, okay, I really like the characters of the sisters. Like, they're fun to watch. Obviously, mental health, it was a thing back in the 1800s, but it wasn't, like, an acceptable thing. Even if, like, I'm pretty sure that people that just had ADD were like, oh, go to the insane asylum. You know what I mean?
If you're quirky.
Right.
Well, we're going to chop your head off.
Because I'll tell you right now, I know a bunch of people that are just like these two sisters that are, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yes. I actively have known many people who weren't. I also know the people who are annoying in a way that you hate.
Yeah.
But there are also the ones that are more like them. And as long as you don't actually have to live with them, you're like, those people are cool.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, they're fine.
I'm not going to be a fan of living with them. I'm going to say that.
No. Some of the stuff that they do, and we do have a Hitchcock movie coming up, but Charles Vider kind of out Hitchcock.
Oh, I think this is. I'm sorry. No, we're jumping way ahead. This is better than Hitchcock.
No, this. I feel like Charles Vider does Hitchcock better than Hitchcock, and
at least at this stage.
Yeah.
Because later on, Hitchcock goes.
Oh yeah,
goes all in.
On
Hitchcock.
For sure. For sure. It's funny because if you would watch, and again, not to telegraph the Suspicion review, but if you would have watched Ladies and Tyrant and Suspicion and go, which one did Alfred Hitchcock direct? I would have picked this one.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know what I mean?
Anyway, and like we're jumping ahead. But well, when we get to Suspicion, we're actually just going to talk about Ladies Retirement some more.
Yeah,
right, so there we go. Okay.
But yeah, so the scene that blew me away obviously was the murder scene. When she sends the sisters away, and it's kind of a master shot, and she sends them out in the carriage. She turns around. She walks directly right into the camera to a close-up, and the look on her face, and you're like, holy shit, she's gonna fucking murder her.
And gonna happen.
And what was really cool is that old lady sitting downstairs, right? She's centered, and then the camera slowly pans to the right.
Yep.
So now the old lady is on the left side of the frame, and you can see Ellen coming down the stairs, her shadow coming down. You're like, oh my god,
it's like a Vincent Price horror movie.
And then,
it's crazy.
And then when she comes down, and then it pans or it goes into a close up of the rope in her hands.
Yep.
And then you see her. You see her go around, but it doesn't go around the old lady. And then it just cuts to the floor, and you see her jewels go down, her pearls fall down on the ground.
Yep.
And you're like,
and at that point, I'm like, is this pearls thing going to come into it? And then they all fall, and I'm like, nope, the pearls are just fun. If there was like 2 of them, people are going to find pearls. But if all your pearls, no, you're not going to find pearls. It's just a movie thing. Okay?
Right. But yeah, that scene was so great. And then the rest of it, too, is that people are going to find out what is she going to do, and then it ends in kind of a haunting way too.
Yeah,
so
I think she's turning herself in.
I think so, or maybe going to kill herself. Or you don't. It's a little open ended, which I like.
Well, the cops are on their way essentially.
Yeah,
but
he gets arrested,
but they're looking for the guy because he stole money from a bank he was working for.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so he's just like, oh shit. So he's like, well, I guess I'm out of this con because I got to fucking run. Okay. I got to go to Canada.
Yeah.
Okay? And it is probably the silliest scene in it when the sisters come in and they say, we saw Albert playing tag. And when he lost, he got really mad. And I'm like, you people aren't that dumb, are you? He was playing with uniformed police officers.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, I think this movie's great. The part of the music, I think the acting's really good. It's terrific. It's a 3.5 for me.
Oh yeah, 3.5.
It's.
I was like, after the second time, I'm like, boy, if I keep watching this might turn into a fucking 4.
It could be a 4, but
this is a really good movie.
But again, this is the reason why we do this podcast, to find these gems like this, like the gazebo, and I would consider this. I think it sounded like it was well received when it came out. I was reading about it, but it's a movie that has been completely forgotten about.
Which is why it's just on YouTube with a few thousand viewings.
Right, but ladies in retirement, check it out. It is a really, really cool, almost gothic thriller.
Yeah, it is.
It's really good.
You can hear it on this thing. It calls it a film noir, and I'm like, vaguely, but it's more gothic.
I would say so. Yeah,
I'd say it's more of a gothic.
Yeah,
mostly because of its time period.
I think so. Yeah. Like a Crimson Peak. Yeah. Have you ever saw Crimson Peak, the Guillermo del Toro film?
Nope, I haven't seen that.
Never mind.
Anyways, I don't watch movies.
So yeah, this was a surprise. So this was hard. We're like, oh my god, we got 7 movies to watch. I mean,
I was sad because I'm like, I got 7 more movies. They are not going to hold up.
No, they're not. And
I have 7 more to watch. I'm so sad.
Which obviously isn't super fair. I don't think.
Yes,
but
it's just a random chance of getting this amazing movie from out of nowhere.
Holy shit! Out of nowhere. It was awesome. Our next one is Charlie Chan's Murder Cruise. And I think we both wanted to pick it because we've never seen a Charlie Chan movie.
I assume I've seen him when I was a kid, but because I knew all the tropes of the sons and all that stuff, and the guy in yellow face and stuff. But I mean, here's the thing. This isn't as offensive as I expected it to be.
No. Well, it's interesting.
Nobody in this movie is racist towards Charlie Chan.
No. And it was funny. I was actually doing some research on Charlie Chan. And this was actually a 1940 holdover, so this was it wasn't 41. This is Sidney Taller's playing Charlie Chan, and this is his 4th or 5th time playing Charlie Chan. He's the second guy I think playing him. The other guy, it's funny. Everyone that plays Charlie Chan dies. So the actor died.
Yeah, because it's 1941. Stupid.
Well, so the actor,
of course they're all dead. Well, they're old men in the 40s.
The first guy that played him. Died, and then they got Sidney Taller, and he
died.
Yeah,
that's why they had to replace him. Is what you're saying.
Then same thing with Sidney Taller. In 47, he died.
How old was he?
So he was like in his 60s at this point. He didn't look like it. I mean, he's got makeup on.
He's caked in makeup.
Yeah, but Sidney Taller was he played him until like 46, 47, and he died, and then they got someone else to play him.
Yeah,
so
because if you cake on enough makeup and you say a really racist accent.
Well, what's interesting too is that at the time, in the 30s, when these movies were coming out, it wasn't considered a racist thing. It was, in fact, a lot of people condemned it for not being racist because, wow, an Asian person is actually a hero, not a Fu Manchu villain. He's not a servant.
That is the thing that I knew, that there are still even some Asian American people who are like, the whole idea of Charlie Chan isn't the racist part.
No,
it's the bullshit accent and the dude in the fucking makeup, okay? But the concept that he's a guy in Honolulu who's a detective, and at this point in the Charlie Chan mythos, he's world fucking famous. Yeah. And people who don't live in Honolulu show up and go, "Oh, Charlie Chan, awesome! He's gonna solve this murder."
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he's the best detective in the fucking world.
So this was like I said, I knew about Charlie Chan. I've just never seen his movies. I will say this: as much as Sidney Taller's in the yellow face makeup stuff, he's pretty fucking good in this movie.
Oh yeah,
he's awesome.
It is weird.
He's good.
He's good.
He's really good
for what he is trying to do. I'm like, he's pretty good in this because he just has to talk in that weird broken English.
Yeah.
And then he has a son. He has 2 sons in this, number 2 and number 7.
Yeah.
Okay. But only number 2 is the only one. is the only one that
it's
is
funny,
really in the whole movie.
Because he's all the kids. Now, back in, digress a little bit, in the 70s, Hanna-Barbera came up with the cartoon The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan.
Is that a Charlie Chan thing?
Yeah. And so it's Charlie Chan, and he's got like 7 kids, and they're all in a band. And it's just like, it's 70s.
What?
It's like a Scooby. Well, Charlie Chan's not in the band, his kids that play music.
Oh my God, that sounds like the most horrible, awesome thing I've ever
pretty
fucking
awesome.
watched.
Yeah.
Does he solve murder still?
Yeah, that's what they all go on murder mysteries with the kids and everything.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm
trying to think of his rip-off with Charlie Chan.
I'm trying to think if his son was helpful in this, sort of. Except for also made horrible mistakes and almost got the wrong guy.
multiple times.
Okay,
well, anyway, so there's this strangler going around killing people. At first, the first half of the movie, I'm like, is there going to be a cruise in this film? Like, it's like, because
I kind of assumed.
Yeah.
there
so,
would be. But
anyways,
this movie's like an hour and 50 minutes long, and it does take like 35 minutes for him to get
on the cruise. Yeah.
And all the actually meaningful stuff happens on the cruise. It's pretty boring before that.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, there's some interesting because there's at least 2 murders before that. Yeah. There's like one on the cruise.
Right. So he's just looking to unmask a killer on this cruise. So he goes on to the cruise. But there's a killer before that, but they assume the killer is going to go on the cruise.
Yeah, I wasn't clear how they figured that out.
I'm not sure either. And then all of a sudden Charlie Chan's like, I'm just going to go on the cruise too.
They use murder mystery movie logic. It's how they
Yeah. Because there's a murder going on and there's a bunch of cast of characters.
We have a set of a cruise ship that we made, so we better go to that cruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I almost forgot pretty much all the characters. You know, you got the
two trillion.
You got the 2 people that are in love. You got the crazy lady that's psychic. You
have to have people, and they aren't even really trying to make you think that some of these people are murderers. They're trying to make you think like 2 of them might be the murderers.
Then there's the
rest are just people in the movie.
There's that archaeologist dude. There's there's a professor. There's also some like other.
It does go full Scooby Doo at the end.
It does, and they do some. There is also some other detectives that are there, but then they're mainly there just to get killed. So then they get killed and stuff. But
except for Charlie Chan, the only one you should kill. Nobody even tries.
No.
Okay.
So with I'm sure if you watch a bunch of these movies, they're all going to run together.
Yes.
But
I was wondering if earlier ones are a more comment on his Asianness.
Right. I don't know.
And this one, no. Literally, everybody shows up when they find out who he is. They're like, "Oh my God, that's awesome! Charlie Chan's the coolest guy in the world."
Charlie Chan, is talking is like, "Oh," and like he always does those Charlie Chan isms where he's like, "Oh, flower is like magic sword." It's like, he'll say something weird like that.
There are like at least 2 instances in this, where somebody, I think it's both times it's his son. Charlie Chan has deduced this big thing, and he goes, "How'd you figure that?" And it goes, just somebody called me and told me. It's like, it's not even deduction. You just acted like you're the smartest guy in the world because somebody told you the answer.
So Charlie Chan is, he's Sidney Teller's in Asian face. They make him look like he's Asian.
His sons are
Asian.
They're Asian.
The Asian actors.
And his older of the 2 sons, which is in most of the movie, is always in bafflement face of like everything around him is the most astonishing thing he's ever seen.
Well,
it's actually pretty funny.
And it's funny because Charlie Chan's in broken English, and they're all like, "Oh, gee, Pop."
Yeah. They talk in 1941 isms. White guy isms.
Oh, gee, Pop.
And the only time anybody even mentions the word Chinese is they mention that we saw a Chinese boy.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm pretty sure that guy was like 24. That we saw a Chinese boy running around. And I'm like, and Charlie's like, "Did you see a Chinese boy?" That's because he's the only Chinese guy in the ship. And I'm like, out of Honolulu? I feel like you'd have half this fucking ship would be Asian.
I thought the end, or the beginning scene when the 2 kids are in his office trying to find the letter of his report card. Like the kid's report card, because he was like, "Oh, I want to hide the report card."
Yeah, that's where he deduced it. That was the first deduction. And then he goes, like, "Oh, I already opened it."
How did you know?
How did you know I got
I got a letter already.
I already opened the letter. I'm like, you really deduced the shit out of that.
That was pretty funny. But then he's like, Okay, now please bend over so spank you. And he's gonna spank you.
I don't think he actually gets around to spanking him.
No, he doesn't.
Some horrible thing happens.
No, it's like a knock at the door, and he's like, oh.
And then that guy comes in, and then that guy gets murdered.
Actually,
through like a window.
That first murder scene was actually pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
It was another strangle with a rope or whatever. And then the guy.
I was wondering if every movie at this point was going to have a strangling, but I think this is the last strangling.
Maybe, yeah, I think so. For what this movie is, this is Fox's B division. They're just churning these movies out. I feel like if I watch more of these films, they'll all run together. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. But seeing one of these movies, I enjoyed myself, and I'm going to give it a mild 3 stars. I actually liked it.
I'll go 2.5.
I liked it.
I liked it more than I expected, especially after watching a really good movie. I'm like, oh, I gotta watch a fucking Charlie Chan movie now.
It was
and
fun.
I'm like,
it's
actually, I expected much more racism.
Yeah.
What I expected.
No, and I was actually surprised. There's some legit funny humor in this film as well.
There is.
In the first half of the movie, there's a scene where they go to the hotel, and just the interaction. I forgot who that one lady is. That older lady. I thought she was hilarious in the movie. She was really fun. I can't think of exactly what she does, but I remember laughing at her stuff.
It's 7 movies. This is 7 movies ago.
No,
okay?
but
you're right. I do remember seeing her and also go like, oh, she's pretty cool.
And there's some funny like screwball comedy stuff going on in the
rooms. End of this does have kind of like from Murder by Death.
Yeah.
Where one of the things he ripped on, a whole new character shows up.
Yeah.
That lady shows up and she's like in a disguise.
Yeah.
And she helps to like solve the crime. And I'm like, where the fuck? You can't figure this shit out. This is the character that didn't exist until now. But Charlie knew about her. It's just like, whatever. But so this movie is not about the murder.
No.
It's about watching Charlie and his kid be funny.
Exactly.
Charlieisms and stuff. It's actually not as terrible as I thought.
I actually liked it. So
I was wondering. Yeah. Here's the thing, a thought I had while watching it.
Yeah.
Because nobody's really done a reboot other than that 70s thing.
So the last person to play Charlie Chan was in 1981, and it was Peter Ustinov. They did
Just get a fucking Asian guy.
Yeah.
But here's what I want.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
I understand that if you did redo it now, you really have to have Charlie talk that way. But I want that to be a thing Charlie's doing to make all the white people confused.
Yeah.
And then whenever he's with his sons, he just talks like
normal,
completely fluent English.
Yeah.
And then he goes like, me walk over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you sound so stupid, but you're so smart?
The whole time that Charlie Chan was talking, I kept waiting for Truman Capote to go like, for Murder by Death.
Yes.
This movie is what it is, so I enjoy it.
It is. It's actually not that bad.
No, I like it.
2.5 is probably, I'm happy with 2.5 for this, though.
Okay, so now we got, the double feature was East Side Kids. So now, it's interesting. I was a little confused about how this Dead End Kids, East Side Kids, Bowery Boys
tell me, because I didn't really look it up.
So it's weird. So here it is. So I'm looking at the thing. So the history is the Dead End Kids. It started with Dead End, which we really liked that movie. It was for 1990.
Yes, that was really good.
Really good. And now there's Tough Guy Kids from the play. So it was actually based on a play, and they reprised their roles in that film.
Okay.
But then they did other movies, like I guess they were in Angels with Dirty Faces with James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart.
Which I'm like, does that can't be same continuity as Dead End, because that James Cagney
no,
dead. Okay.
No. It was Humphrey Bogart.
It was Bogart. I'm sorry, you're right.
They Made Me a Criminal.
But that Bogart in that Dead End.
And then
is super
Universal had a competing series under The Little Tough Guys. And then later on, The Little Tough Guys and members of the Dead End Kids combined them, and that's kind of what like the East Side Kids is. So they kind of combined them. However, I don't think there's a Dead End Kid in this actual movie.
I didn't recognize any.
But after they did it, Leo Gorcey is the one that was kind of the main famous one. He's the one that kind of looks like he's 14 and 40 at the same time.
Yes,
that's he's in Spook. He's in the Spook.
Is he the one whose shirt? I'm like, just get a new shirt. Dude.
He's Muggs.
Okay,
like a Muggsy.
One guy's shirt was so full of rips and tears. I'm like,
no, that's not.
You literally get a job
in this
movie. I know,
one.
But in this one, it's like you got a job. You're not working for the cops.
Yeah.
Buy a new fucking shirt.
Yeah.
They're paying you like a dime for each one of these things you deliver.
And then after the East Side Kids, they started getting older. Then they started making the Bowery Boys as adults, and that's kind of where that came in.
Well, at this point. This is
the first
East crime story.
Yeah.
The movie after
this comedy
is part of it, and that is not a crime story.
No, they turned more into
comedy. It's a year later, and it has really changed.
Yeah. They turned more into comedy films after that.
This tries to be comedy.
Well, you know what's interesting about this movie? So, Dead End, This is kind of a little bit of a reworking of that a little bit, because you have the adults in the movie where you have the one bad criminal guy coming back, and then you have the one guy that he remained there and he's good, but this time this guy's actually a cop.
Yeah, they don't do a very good job at this.
And his name's Pat. His name is Pat. Dead End was a prestige William Wyler film.
Yes, oh yeah.
These are B movies.
These are B movies. I mean, it's got it directed by, but
Robert F. Hill. Yeah.
Which I'm like, did he only do B's?
And these were Monogram Pictures, so this wasn't even through like a major studio.
Oh.
So these were actually, which Charlie Chan Films started at Fox. Later on, after the one that we watched, they went to Monogram Films. So I don't know if they went.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that was definitely a B film. The Charlie Chan thing.
Absolutely. It was the B division of Fox, for sure.
It's definitely just sets they already had lying around, and then it's like half the time when they're on that cruise ship, and I'm like, that's not a cruise ship, that's a fucking giant room.
Right.
Okay? That room is huge.
So East Side Kids, it opens with, like, they show a lot of, like, footage of actual New York, which is kind of neat. I like seeing that stuff.
Yes, at the very opening of this.
Because Dead End,
because
in Dead End, there was no location photography in that. That was on a awesome
But that set was amazing.
You know, it was an amazing set.
That was amazing. So, this one is, there's no location. Maybe there is location.
Maybe a little bit, but a lot, obviously.
Maybe they literally just
My guess is they probably
just go
shot
outside. We're in the middle of L.A., go outside and act like
I'm sure they shot on some back lots.
Yeah.
There's a guy on death row, and it's one of the East Side Kids' older brothers. And
which he doesn't know about.
And the East Side Kids, it's kind of like the Goonies where everybody talks over each other. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, okay, the first half of this movie, anytime it started doing that it was with the kids, I was kind of enjoying it.
Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Mildly.
I can see mildly
going like, okay, it's watchable.
Because that's what the show is. Movie is an East Side Kids movie. I'm like, I'm in this for quote unquote, I'm in this for the kids.
Yeah.
And then adults show up and they try to do this stupid counterfeiting shit, and I'm like, this is dumb. Okay.
Well, so Pat, he's the good guy, the cop or whatever in the town.
Yeah.
He's a really bad actor.
He's terrible.
He's not good in this. His
He's
name is
bad.
Leon Ames, and no disrespect, he just didn't do a very good job in this movie.
He's like trying to like get the other guy off of death row.
He has no charisma,
but he isn't doing that ever. He says it. And then I'm like, but the rest of this movie, that's not happening.
I'm not even talking about his character. I'm just talking his performance.
There's no
chemistry. He's not. He's not like.
There's the villains, the German guy. So in actuality, this episode has a lot of weird World War II stuff in it. And this is a German guy who left Germany because, or at least he left Germany because of. Essentially, he doesn't ever say the word fascism, but he talks about how the cops there can do this and that. You can't do that. We're not in Germany, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but you're a criminal, dude. You're a horrible criminal who's trying to get people murdered. That is interesting. Just like the Charlie Chan thing takes place in Honolulu.
Yeah.
Okay?
A rich kid shows up and they're like, oh, you're going to be one of the
why does that guy want to be in the group?
Yeah.
It's so
but
stupid.
But they kind of had that in Dead End, too, where they had a rich kid. But then they beat him up.
Kid didn't immediately beat them all up and then act like they were still the coolest people in the world. You literally beat them all up. Why would you think they're cool? They're lamer than you. You beat them up while wearing a fucking suit. Okay.
No, the first half of the movie, I'm like, okay. Anytime it went to the kids, I was kind of enjoying it. Also in the movie too, so they're like, you know what? We got to get the kids off the street, so let's give them a boxing gym. That was
just like
this boys club.
We're gonna start a boys club. Yeah.
Right. Well, you find out the criminal that came in town that knows Pat, the sheriff. He's actually the one kind of behind who actually killed the cop that the person on death row is being blamed for. There's all this stuff with that. And then there's a little bit of like a love interest with Pat that I didn't care about. So anytime I went to the adults, I'm just like, this is so boring and it's not good.
This movie's an hour long and it's one of those
ones.
It
felt really long, yeah.
Fuck, this movie is long. How can it... Because I was literally like 10 minutes in and I'm like, how can only 10 minutes have happened?
Yeah.
So much nothing.
No.
They talk and talk and talk but never say anything over and over and I'm like... This is so fucking tedious.
And then it got really laughable at the end when, they have the kid on the roof and they're all...
One of them dies.
Yeah.
They don't seem to really care other than immediately afterward they don't give a shit.
But remember in Dead Ends how they had... I mean, comparing it to Dead End, that was a great
Dead
movie.
End's on YouTube. So is this, but don't watch this. Watch Dead End.
Dead End is amazing. Well, Dead End has a great shootout and stuff, and this is the exact opposite where it's just not interesting. It's not good.
One of those
it's
stupid...
not well done.
There's literally a shootout happening on the roof. And one of the kids runs up there without a gun or anything, and I'm like, Oh, surprise, that kid ends up dead.
Oh,
yeah,
weird.
it's a fucking middle of a shootout, you moron.
Yeah.
Of course you're dead.
It was pretty disappointing. This is a 1.5 for me.
Oh, I'm giving it a 1.
No, it's a
This
1.5.
was really tiring.
No.
I mean, the problem is I had really liked one movie, and then surprisingly kind of liked the next one, and then this.
Yeah, I was like, ugh.
And then I'm like, I wonder what the next movie's like.
Oh no.
Oh, no, next movie.
Oh, there we go. So the next movie is Spooks Run Wild.
It's weird because the Charlie Chan and East Side Kids were the double feature, but then we sort of made a double feature by throwing another East Side Kids movies in there.
What's
right
funny,
afterward.
well, I asked you, I'm like, well, what should we do? Do you want to watch 2 East Side Kids movies or 2 Abbott and Costello movies? I'm like, oh, let's watch 2 East Side Kid movies.
I kind of wish I'd picked the other one.
Spooks Run Wild is the next one.
It was mostly that if we had watched 2 Charlie Chans, we couldn't have got 8 in.
Right.
Because those are like hour and a half long movies.
So
those
1941, and this one is, it was 65 minutes. So this one is more of a comedy. This actually has Bela Lugosi is the first billed person in the movie.
He is.
Bela Lugosi, who did not want to fucking be in this movie
God,
all.
No. And also,
he was collecting a goddamn
for
paycheck
90% of this thing, they are trying to pawn it off as a Dracula sequel.
Yeah.
Well, he's wearing the outfit. He has the same look on his face, and I'm like, why have I not heard about this Dracula sequel?
Right.
And then at the end, I'm like, oh, now I know why, because it's not a fucking Dracula sequel.
So the movie kind of starts out the same way as the East Side Kids, showing a bunch of street scenes again.
Yeah,
it's like,
I noticed that. I'm like, I wonder if all these movies start.
I wonder if I went back and watched it if it was the same actual footage.
I don't think it was. But it would
have been funny.
But that's the thing. I'm like, I wonder if they all started like that.
So
and then I expected this to take place in New York.
No.
Nope. They immediately leave New York.
Yeah. So the members of they come on screen like a freight train, the East Side Kids, and they start like arguing and fighting with each other and doing all that shit. And then all of a sudden, someone comes up like, "Hey, you guys are going to camp." So they go on a bus, they go to camp. I'm like, "What? What the fuck's happening?" So they go to a camp, and they don't want to go to camp. And then they stop at like
their punishment is
then they stop at a little town diner or whatever, and they see that they flirt with the soda fountain girl,
the 25-year-old soda fountain woman.
Also they're also 25 years old too.
Yeah,
and Sunshine Sammy was 28 years old.
Really?
He was 28
I
years
assumed
old.
they were supposed to be teenagers, though.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they were supposed to be teenagers in the film. Leo Gorski at the time was married for like 5 years at this point.
Oh wow!
So I mean, he was like 25 years old. Yeah, they go to this town, and then they leave their camp at night because they want to go meet with that girl or whatever. Right? He's like, I'm gonna go try and find that girl. I'm like, what?
I've got a date with what's her?
Right. So they all leave. So Muggs is kind of the main one. It's Leo Corsi. And there's a bunch of other kids that don't really stand out. There's also a subplot with Bela Lugosi, and he comes to town. But there's also there's a strangler. There's a
murderer.
A monster killer. It's a monster killer that's out. And right away, this one gas station in town is like, that's him, and he points at Bela Lugosi like, that's him.
Because I mean, I've also seen Dracula, so I assume he's a murderer.
And then there's another guy who's kind of like a Van Helsing or whatever, and he's like, oh, I know who that is, and oh, I know who you are. I've read you in my book.
That guy who's the actual murderer?
Yeah. So then the rest of the movie, so they go to the spooky house, and then the kids go in there, and they literally run around this house.
It's a haunted house movie.
Yeah, for 35 minutes. Yeah. Doing fucking nothing in the movie.
Boring.
One of them
nightmarishly racist nonsense.
One of them actually like gets like hypnotized under Bela Lugosi's spell. And he's walking around like a zombie.
Like, how can they fuck this up?
Well, there's
how is this not entertaining?
Well, then there's like
this
a Scooby-Doo scene.
Fucking entertaining.
Well, there's like a Scooby-Doo scene too. You know, one of them's in a knight outfit. Yes. And he's walking around.
But then the other knight shows up, and it wasn't a bad guy. It was just another one of the kids in another knight's outfit. No. What the fuck? This doesn't do anything for the story.
No.
And then it just goes away.
No. So it's pretty poorly made. It's not necessarily really funny. I'm gonna say one positive thing about this movie, and it's why I'm giving it 1 star.
Okay.
Sunshine Sammy is fucking awesome in this movie.
Is he the black guy?
He's the black kid, and he is really fun. Anytime he was on screen, like there's this one scene where he's on screen for a minute by himself, and
actually, I did like when I would see him, I'm like, He's the only one in this who's any fucking good.
And when he's doing...
And he's also cringy.
Yeah. And when he's doing stuff, he's like, oh, Lord, you know.
It's very 1941.
But his delivery and stuff, like, he's really talented.
He's all in on it. He's all in on this, and he knows what to do.
So
because he's like, I need fucking money. Okay.
Yeah. I have a slight history. I've actually met Sunshine Sammy.
What?
Yeah. Well, I belong. I think I mentioned this
recently, because I'm thinking he's dead. He died in 89.
Yeah. I met him when I was 12. And you know this, and I think I've already mentioned this on the podcast. I'm a member of the Laurel and Hardy fan club, Sons of the Desert.
Okay, yes.
And I've gone to, like, I've been a member since I was 8. And so in 1988, in St. Paul, there was a convention here, and they had, like, Spanky McFarland was here.
Oh,
so I met Spanky. But Sunshine Sammy was a Little Rascal. And the reason why they have Little Rascals at these Laurel and Hardy conventions is because it's Hal Roach Studios who did Laurel and Hardy movies.
That's also classic stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Sunshine Sammy was there because he was the silent Little Rascals.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah. And
how old was he in this?
He was 28 in this movie.
God, they do a surprisingly teenager-y job as
right.
these things.
But anyway, Sunshine Sammy, I got to see him. He actually tap danced on stage at the Laurel and Hardy convention.
Oh, fuck, that
So I got
cool.
to see him, and he was like 74, 75
cool.
at the time.
I didn't see that, so have to
And
stop.
he was yeah, right. So anyways, seeing him in this, I'm just like, God, he is really talented. Like, if they would just do a movie on him and his antics, I would love it.
That would probably be, yes,
that'd be
you
good.
Could just do him.
I would just like him, because the other kids are kind of...
Here's the thing. As much as I'm saying racist, caricature stuff, all the other kids... They make some jokes.
Oh, there's the one joke where
skin color.
Well,
jokes.
yeah, there's the one joke when the lights go out and it's like I can't even see you. You know, it's like
stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just I mean, whatever. There's jokes. They aren't like racist. They actually treat him fine.
Absolutely,
they're his friends.
Yes,
I actually don't have any problem with that.
My problem is that
this movie is a horrible disappointment. Here's the real reason why when you said pick two of these or two of these.
Bela Lugosi.
I saw Bela Lugosi on the poster. Oh, watch him all about Bela.
He pretty much is doing a really bad Dracula impersonation of himself.
Yes, and there are even a couple of times where I'm like, is this somebody else's dubbed voice?
Well, there is no energy within his performance. You can easily tell he's collecting a paycheck for his morphine addiction.
Yes, at this point, and they didn't pay him shit.
No, probably
every
not.
studio was ripping him off hardcore.
But I'm sure
his life was a living nightmare.
But he was still accepting it because he needed that money.
He needed that money, and I remember I saw some stuff where they all underpaid him, and then would give him top billing.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you got to pay that guy thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
because there's a shit ton of people in 1941 who went to go see this movie because they said Bela Lugosi on top.
Yeah.
And then they saw some stupid kids running around a fucking haunted house. Okay.
Yeah. It was really bad. So it's a 1 for me.
I'm going half.
You're going half.
It is. This one was really hard to get through.
It was rough. It was
hard to get through. And then at the end, Bela Lugosi wasn't a Dracula. He was just a magician who was trying to practice his magicianing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then he makes the pretty girl disappear, and then one of the kids goes in there. I'm going to go in there and find her.
And he gets Sunshine Sammy comes out
with Sunshine Sammy, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's a joke. But at that point, I just hated the world.
Yeah. It was not good. Keep 'em Flying. Abbott Costello is next. So. As I mentioned before, I'm a big Laurel and Hardy fan.
What you're about to say, you've told me before.
Yeah. But it's funny, within the realm, so I've talked to a lot of Laurel and Hardy fans, obviously, because I go to a lot of conventions.
Okay.
Within the realm of Laurel and Hardy fandom, Abbott and Costello are not very well liked.
Yeah.
Abbott and Costello are considered to be, they're kind of I wouldn't say they're rip-offs of Laurel and Hardy, but they're a comedy team. You got a skinny guy and a fat guy. That's where the similarities end, in my opinion.
Because in this, the skinny guy is a straight guy and the fat guy is a funny one. But in Laurel and Hardy, it's in some ways...
No.
It can go back and forth.
In Laurel and Hardy, Oliver Hardy is not the straight man. They're both funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, in this, actually, I would say Abbott is also funny. They're just a different version of funny. Costello is more... Curly Howard funny.
I would say Abbott doesn't do anything funny at all.
Oh, he
doesn't even trying to do funny. He just yells at Costello the whole time.
I don't know. Have you met me, Austin? I like people who yell at idiots. And Costello is a fucking imbecile.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, so Abbott Costello. So I've only seen, this is I want to say my 4th or 5th Abbott Costello film.
Okay. I've seen Meet Frankenstein.
I will say, I've seen, and that's supposedly their best one, and I still thought it was okay. It's the best one I've seen. I've seen Meet the Mummy, and then I've seen The Noose Hangs High, I think it's called. The thing I really like Abbott Costello, I love Who's on First is a classic routine.
Yes, and they do like 6 versions of that in this movie.
not nearly as good.
No, but that's where it came from.
Right,
that's
right,
a
right.
later thing.
No, they did it. It was before that, I think.
Was it? Okay, but they do a very similar misunderstanding thing going on.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
Isn't bad.
So Abbott and Costello, this is called Keep 'em Flying. This one is very loosely tied together with a plot.
Oh, it's got 6 different storylines.
Yeah.
And Abbott and Costello are only in like 2 of them.
Well, they start like they're in like a carnival or whatever, and then there's like they're friends with a high flying ace guy,
who has
like a barnstormer.
I think 3 secret families that he's trying to abandon. And I'm like, we're supposed to like this guy?
No, I didn't like.
You're supposed to by the end. You're supposed to like him, and I'm like,
I didn't like him at all.
That guy's fucking garbage.
No, and then but anyways, in a weird contrived thing, they're like, oh, let's start a woman haters club. Okay, cool.
Yep, it is random.
Yeah.
In the opening credits, did you notice that it said 2 different things in this were directed by a different person?
No, I did not see that.
Which I saw that, and I'm like, I was pumping out a chain all over again.
Oh.
The torpedo and flying sequences were directed by, I don't know the name, by some other guy. Well, and I'm going to tell you, those are the best sequences in the fucking movie.
Arthur Lubin directed the Francis movies.
Okay.
It was interesting. Yeah.
Weird.
So as far as
Francis movie had a plot.
Well, he didn't write those. He didn't write
I know. But
so the thing is, with I don't have a problem with the direction in this movie, as far as like the technical direction.
Yeah, whatever.
So it's fine. Whatever.
It's a movie where 2 guys stand around talking to each other.
Anyways, so now then there's a contrived thing like, let's just go to the army. So then they go to the army. And then
they got kicked out of their current jobs of keeping airplanes in the air,
and
so they're going to go to a thing where
and then the other guy goes with them.
This is military movie number 2, by the way.
Yep. And then they fall in love with. Well, it's funny. He goes, hey, "What are we going to? Buck Privates?" Because that was one of their first movies, is Buck Privates. So then they said, "No, we're going to the Air Force."
That's funny.
Sure.
If you
knew what that was,
if you knew what the fuck they were talking about.
So then,
in 1941, they did.
But then all of a sudden, the other guy skeeves on that one singer lady too at the nightclub, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be the USO," and he's like, "Well, I'm going to go to the Army too," and so then they joined. They're in the Air Force. There's like he's trying to get on this girl. Then the Abbott Costello meet these twins,
which I was like, I hope these are real twins.
No,
they were not.
They were not.
It was pretty obvious split screen. But
it is okay. Yeah.
But here's what I wanted. I wanted
Martha
those 3
Ray.
twins where they filmed everything like a split screen. That would have made me give this movie a full fucking time. Okay.
Martha Ray played the, and I thought she was actually pretty funny.
She was good.
I liked
funny.
her in the movie. Yeah.
She's funny. I like Costello.
Okay. I don't.
I like Costello.
I
like Lou.
A couple of the times there's some things that he does that make me laugh. I would say 1 out of every 20 things I would chuckle.
Yes, I'm like 2 out of every 8.
The problem I have with Abbott and Costello is that, especially it's Costello, because Abbott is just there to yell at him. Costello's the one that's doing the comedy, in my opinion.
Don't rip on the Yellers, Austin. The Yellers are God's favorite men. Okay?
So Costello doing the funny stuff. So all his humor, he's carrying the weight of the humor on his own.
He is.
And Stan and Ollie they're 50-50 if you watch their movies.
I understand what you're saying. I understand.
And so with Costello, he's carrying the comedy, and it's just he tries so fucking hard. It seems forced to me. The humor, his little that he does. I hate it.
There's a lot of times where, yes, I can see that. There are other times where I'm like, I don't know, when he was that baseball bat thing.
Oh.
It starts off bad, and then later on, he just gets hit like 95 times. I'm like, fine with him getting smacked in the head 95 times with a baseball bat. That's funny.
So the rest of the movie is just a series of them bumbling around.
Then there's also the other series where the guy's trying to hit on the flyer guy.
Oh, yeah.
Who is trying to get his own girlfriend.
Well,
he's the worst human being I've ever fucking seen in my entire life.
Yes.
He's so terrible.
The most of the movie is Abbott Costello just doing their thing, doing like, oh, we're trying to fly, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, and then there's a little mix up with the twins, and there's a haunted house.
That goes on for like 40% of the movie.
And there's like the haunted house stuff where they go in there.
That was where I'm like, was this the first one? Apparently
haunted
it was
house
not.
movie? Oh, no.
What about the first time where they were in a haunted house?
Right. So that's mixed though. All the Abbott Costello nonsense, like silly stuff, is mixed with stuff with the subplot of the flyer guy and the girl, and then the girl's brother. We're supposed to care that this guy is scared of flying, and this is the problem. This is a studio problem.
Real boring.
So this is Universal Studios.
This is another really boring movie.
Well, I'll tell you this though. The problem with a lot of the studios that want to do these comedy acts, it's like, oh, we can't get people to identify with the funny guys. We got to shoe in a plot in there, and that's why. So obviously there's a little history for me because I'm a big Laurel and Hardy fan. Laurel and Hardy started at the Hal Roach Studios, and their movies were about them. Well, they got out of that contract because they wanted more money, so they went to Fox and then MGM, I think. And when they started doing other studios, they were like this, where they would shoehorn in a plot in these Laurel and Hardy movies,
where they were just in the background,
and they were the comic relief. They're not good movies. Their last like 8 movies are not good, and it sucks. And it's sad to watch.
Is where they needed to understand how the Three Stooges work. The Three Stooges are always the main character. Huh?
Yeah, no, they are the main.
Well, they're always the main character.
Yeah.
There might be some other characters, but they're always shorts for one thing. So I mean, you haven't got time for all those other
Right.
Okay?
But that's the problem I have with this movie as well. And the fact I just am not a big fan of Abbott Costello.
I understand.
I don't think they're very funny. I think they're more forced humor. And knowing that the fact that they actually didn't like each other. The thing that I love about Laurel and Hardy, that they're so endearing, even though they like do things to each other, you see a mutual love. You feel the mutual love with Laurel and Hardy. And here it's just 2 guys that are just with each other, and they just yell at each other and do crazy things. And there's no heart to Abbott and Costello where there is in Laurel and Hardy.
In many ways,
that's my problem with
it would work better if they weren't supposedly best friends.
Right.
If they were just people who ran into each other,
maybe,
and didn't like each other in the movie itself, it would actually make it funnier and work better.
And that's also why I have,
because then it would make more sense with the way they're acting.
Well, that's why I have a problem with, because I'm also not a big fan of Three Stooges either. Because
you're a bad person, Austin.
It's just
Kennedy.
a bunch of slapstick.
Three Stooges are a fucking American legend.
It's just a bunch of slapstick with no heart, and that's what I like Laurel and Hardy, because there's just something endearing about them.
Now,
so
okay, with the Three Stooges, I think it's all heart. I am not kidding.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think
it's all slapstick.
But those 3 people.
Oh, I'm sure they
legitimately love each other.
No, they do. They do. I just
even though Mo is constantly angry with the other 2 in real life. They
did. They
best friends.
They did.
Best people that he ever met.
Well, some of them were his brothers. Shep
Yeah,
Howard
2 of them were his brothers.
Yeah.
Larry, I don't know how.
No, Larry was not.
But whatever.
But no. I like them better than with them. With Three Stooges, it's more of a repetitiveness with them, where it's just like you've seen 5 shorts. You don't like seeing
funny shit over and over. You fucking garbage.
Well, Hardy's different every time.
So okay, in this, like I said, there are 2 scenes directed by a different person.
Yep.
One is he's like. Lou gets on a torpedo and is riding around.
I laughed at that.
That is funny.
However, I laughed at that because it was filmed pretty badly. Because of like the really bad screen
but
and
that's
the sped up
what I liked about it.
Yeah, me too. No, I agree.
That's why I'm like, and then at the end of it, all these tires go all up in the air and they hit him and they land on and go, I am so tired. And for some reason I'm like, I found that fucking funny. Okay? And then they get stuck on a plane at the end.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing happens in the fucking movie.
That one I didn't care for. I didn't like that
one. And then Costello doesn't know he's flying, and he tries to get out of the plane to go get his jacket. He's like walking around on the wing and stuff. I don't know. I thought those were funny because those are what I wanted this movie to be.
It's not.
Pure fucking insanity.
It's not, though.
And then there's so much boring. I'm going to give this 1.5.
That's what I give it. I give it 1.5.
Because
like
the bad shit is bad.
Yeah.
I was considering 2. The bad shit is bad, but the bad shit is real fucking bad.
I'm giving it a 1.5.
But actually, there's like those 2 scenes. Those are really the only reason.
I'm giving it a 1.5 because there are... I'm not going to deny that Abbott Costello are not talented. They are. It's just not... I just don't find him endearing. I don't find him all that funny. And I think Lou Costello is... He just tries so hard. However, there was some funny stuff in the movie that I did like, because I do like classic slapstick comedy. So yeah, the rocket ship scene was funny. Some of the bat stuff was funny. Every once in a while, Costello would say something was funny. I really like the twin stuff. That was
funny, because she was funny.
And
she was good at being 2 different people.
I thought so too.
In like the same scene. She was like,
and I also like it too when heavier set people get a girlfriend, and they don't have to make mention that, oh, I like you because you're chubby, or it's just, it's nice to see.
She wasn't like a supermodel or anything.
No,
so I'm like, okay, whatever.
She was pretty cute.
She was not ugly. She was cute.
No.
I think she was on par with cuteness with Lou.
Yeah.
So I mean, it made sense. It does bother me when sometimes I decide to take this guy and he's just get like the most attractive person in the world. I'm like, she doesn't want him. Okay.
No, but you can definitely sell it like she was totally into him and
yeah. She was good. No, she was good.
Yeah, I think
there's like 4 songs in this, and like 2 of them are pretty good. One of them is just Boogie Woogie Bugle Boys, but
oh my god,
this is a different song with the same exact music.
I laughed so hard when they just start going to the air, and I'm like, what the fuck? And they're just like full blown musical number.
Well, there'll be a big musical number, and with like all the servicemen in the background start singing. And I'm like, this was gone full crazy 1941 musical.
I'm like, what's happening? No,
because they have to get it to an hour and a half. That's really what happened.
But yeah, I mean, I'll still give a couple of their other movies a chance if I do see them, but I'm just not a fan of the films.
Here's the thing: as much as you're picking on this, boy, would I have preferred to see that other one than that second Dead Ends piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. This is much better than that. But yeah, 1.5 for me, 1.5 for you. I feel like if you are actually a legit, like I'm a big Abbott and Costello fan, I feel like that you would forgive the other stuff and just like all their antics.
It's weird. I think you could edit this movie to just be Abbott and Costello being lunatics, and you're like, oh, this movie's fine.
I would have loved to see a movie just with them and the twins. Not even another army show.
With crazy stuff and
that would have been better.
That would have been a better movie.
I think it would have been.
Instead, you have to put that loser in there.
Yeah.
He was so stupid and so bad and not likable, and you're supposed to like him at the end. And I'm
he was like a predator.
He has 3 secret families. Yeah. They talked about it. It was like numerous children that he's abandoning to join the army.
Okay, so next movie, Texas. It's a movie called Texas. This is starring a very young William Holden.
Yeah.
And a pretty young Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford was in The Gazebo.
Yeah.
Also, George Marshall directed The Gazebo. He directed this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. It's the same. And he also directed Houdini, but the direction wasn't the problem in Houdini.
1.5 out of 3 ain't bad.
No, but you know what I mean?
This is no Gazebo, but it's not bad.
I actually like this movie.
I didn't hate it.
I like it. Texas.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's about 2 guys. They're best friends. And they're broke, they're homeless, they're...
This movie's an hour and a half. So much shit happens in this movie.
A lot of shit happens in this movie.
Give me your thing, and I'm like, I'm going to tell you, he's only 10 minutes into this movie, and he's been talking for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to take him 45 minutes to describe this movie.
Well, I'm going to try to do more of an overview, and then we'll go into the details in some of the scenes. They are just trying to make a way to find a buck, because I think they were veterans of the war.
They're veterans. They're Confederate war veterans.
There are a couple
Confederate They're Johnny Rebs.
Yeah.
If they were in the Virginia Army,
You're right,
now they're trying to go to Texas, probably away from the north.
Right. They're trying
further away from north.
They're trying to make enough money to get to Texas. And so there's some stuff that happens in the town. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But what the main plot of the movie is that they go, and this is like probably a half an hour into the movie now. That stuff in the town with the fight.
Oh, they don't get to Texas for well into the movie.
Anyways, they see a stagecoach robbery. So they go and they
just watch it.
They watch it, and then they go to the guys that robbed it, and they rob them. They take the money. It was like $10,000, right?
Yeah, it was like a lot of fucking money.
And Glenn Ford, I mean, it's pretty clear that William Holden's like, I want to keep it for myself, but Glenn Ford's like, no, I plan on giving it back.
We'll get like a reward and shit.
Right, but what happens is the guys think that they robbed the stagecoach. There's like an arm,
because he has the
deputies. Yeah, so they go after him and they split up. They're like, okay, you'll go this way, you go that way.
Yeah,
and they split up.
And they assume they're never going to see each other because it's fucking Texas.
Right, because it's super huge. Well, and they're like, we're traveling to Texas. We haven't seen a town for fucking ever.
Yeah. At one point, they're like, I don't think Texas actually has towns.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the Glenn Ford character ends up on this ranch, and he ends up working at this ranch where William Holden, but while he's getting away, he runs into a lady, and he kind of holds her up just to take their coach. He's not really holding her up. He wants to get away. He's desperate to get away.
The timeline doesn't super work out for me.
No.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because he's still on the run, but the other one already has the job working for her. And I'm like, isn't this the same day? Okay, whatever.
So anyways, he's going, he's trying to get away. William Holden is. And then there's a little business with him and the girl, and he's like, oh, you're cute. She's like, get the fuck away from me. And then
you basically kidnapped me. Go away.
Yeah. What happens is William Holden gets a job with these other guys, and he meets like this dentist guy who was fucking awesome in this movie, by the way.
Oh, that guy is good in this.
Really good in the movie.
He's real. He is the standout of this movie.
Is that Doc? Is that him?
He is.
Edgar Buchanan, I think is his name.
He's really good in this.
Yeah.
And weird.
Yeah.
Good in a really weird, interesting way.
So he's this dentist, and he kind of talks like this.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, oh yeah, sure, come over here. He
never
raises his voice in the whole movie,
and he's pure fucking evil.
Yeah, fucking awesome. Well, you don't tell right away, actually.
No. By
you
the
just
end,
think he's
you're
a weirdo dude.
Oh, never mind. He's one of the evilest people in this world.
Well, anyways, William Holden gets mixed up with these guys that end up robbing people and stuff. So William Holden's on the other side.
He's
of the
literally
law here.
35 minutes into this movie of an hour and a half movie. Okay, there's a lot of movie.
Right. Well, Glenn Ford is, he's taking over this ranch because the guy dies or whatever, and the girl in there that William Holden held up is the daughter of the rancher guy. So then there's a little love triangle going on because Glenn Ford likes her too. They're both on opposite sides right now. Well, it so happens that William Holden, they end up meeting each other again. It's like, hey, we're still buddies. We still love each other, and they're hanging out. So they do actually still really like each other, but they just happen to be on the opposite side. So towards the big finale, or the last half hour of the movie, is they're going to do this big cattle drive. And the cattle drive, Glenn Ford's like, you know what? We can do it. And
every cattle drive has been bad.
Has been really bad. And up to this point, we said, you know what? We're going to make this happen. But that's because the cattle drive has been interrupted by William Holden, the gang that he's working for. And so now that William Holden's gang, they're going to... and William Holden's not the main guy behind this. It's actually, we find out later, it's the dentist guy that's kind of running the whole thing.
He's kind of working for the dentist and the guy who bailed him out in the beginning.
Yeah, the governor
who's
guy.
Another bad guy. And I'm like, which is why I'm like, this movie's coming around to me, because at that point, I had the suspicion you're supposed to think this guy who is the most pro-Southern guy in the world is supposed to be one of the guys you're supposed to like. Nope. Piece of human garbage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, good. I like it when pieces of human garbage are actual pieces of human garbage.
Right, and that's actually what happens. Then what happens? So they're gonna do this cattle drive, but then William's like, you know what? So he has another plan to get the money a different way, and then he kind of like goes against the dentist and the other guys. But at the end of the movie, but then there's a big confrontation at the end. A bunch of people are getting killed and stuff. But I kind of like what happens during that whole scene, because you find out that William Holden wants to be with Claire Trevor, the girl in the movie, Mike. So there's that love triangle going on, which I thought was really interesting. So you don't know, oh, I kind of like William Holden, even though he is kind of skeevy towards her a little bit. But
yeah, that was one of the things where it's like he is really like slimy towards her, and then she kind of comes around.
Yeah, she kind of comes around. I'm like, yeah, that was a little goofy.
Don't worry, he's dead by the end. This is during Code. The bad guy cannot get away with it. And he has to die.
You know what I really like? I like their friendship in the movie, and I like the scene at the end when William Holden's on the run, and Glenn Ford takes him in the back, and he's just like, and William Holden's like, I want to marry that girl, and Glenn Ford's like, you know what? Let's just both of us go off together. That's how I feel about her. Yep. And with you. And I'm like, I really thought that was cool.
There was a chance at that point where it's like, okay, their friendship's going to win out in the end, which I can live with.
Yeah.
Okay? They aren't going to be like maybe the best. They might always end up in the opposite sides of things.
Yeah.
Because one is unequivocally not as good a person as the other. Yeah. I understand that they can still be really good friends.
Yes.
But it doesn't go that way.
No. So this movie surprised me, actually.
This movie isn't bad.
I actually liked it quite a bit.
There's also, it can be funny.
Oh,
that fight in the beginning went on for like 15 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, this movie is
actually pretty funny. So I was actually surprised by a lot of the humor in the film.
It's weird.
It's really
because
funny.
I would say on this episode, the times where the comedians are in the movies are the least funny movies.
Yeah, I think so. No, I laughed a lot in this movie. Okay, so when they get to this town in the beginning of the movie, there's a way to make money. And they find out they need someone to fight this like prize fighter guy. So William Holden is like, let's do it. I'm gonna fight this guy.
That guy's stance was so fucking.
The guy
insane.
who does the stance, I don't know. It's
pugilism.
You can't see what we're doing. We're both doing the stance right now.
Here's the thing: if you've ever seen black and white like boxing photos, but even more of a character.
Well, they're holding their fists like underhandedly. Right? Yeah.
And their knuckles are faced.
And then the way he puts his butt out, and it was just like
he's like crouching. I'm like, that can't be comfortable.
Right. And so there's this fight scene, and it's probably 8 minutes. I mean, it's long.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's
in this movie, like I said,
it's 89-minute movie. Yeah.
People will say stuff like, "Okay, kids just don't have the attention span," and I'm like, did you see some of these fucking movies? Nobody apparently had attention span because everything has to happen in 12-second increments. Okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's so fucking fast.
No, it was really fast, but But yeah, that fight scene, there's just so many funny things that happen in the fight scene. Like, we're on round 35, because you get knocked out, that's the end of the round. He keeps getting back up.
He keeps getting, yeah, that's right. They had weird rules, but they did a good job where the rules were said right in the beginning. Yeah. The moment somebody's knocked down, it's over. And then if you can't get back to the middle in 30 seconds for the next round, the fight is over. And he just keeps getting back up.
I even like the opening titles I thought were really good in the movie. The way Texas goes up and
this is the second instances of really cool opening titles.
And there's still one more that has really cool opening titles coming up.
There is.
But yeah, I thought there was some really great stuff. I thought the stagecoach scene when he steals the stagecoach with Claire Trevor and they're like running around and she keeps hitting those bumps.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then there was a few times where they did a close-up where you could see her and I'm like, that's just fucking her.
And same thing with some of those
horrible stuff.
Well, some of those same things with the rough riding scenes. I'm like, oh, that's really William Holden going at top speed and Glenn Ford at the top speed.
There was some stuff where I'm like, those guys, they weren't big enough names yet, so they got to do their own fucking
William Holden, he's not my favorite actor. I think he's a little wooden at times when I see him.
Oh, I don't know. I thought he was
Although he's great in this movie, and I really like, Sunset Boulevard is a great movie. You know, when people go back and they talk about, like, actors, like, I'll go to, like, you know, Charles Laughton, or I'll go to Humphrey Bogart. I usually won't go to William Holden for, like, favorite actors of the time period.
This is pretty early in the Holden.
It is, and I think he's really good.
This is one of the reasons why he got to be a big name.
I think so, too. And I think Glenn Ford is really good in the movie. Yep. I think Claire Trevor as Mike is really good in the movie. Mm-hmm. I think she's good. She was probably almost more famous than them.
There's actually a lot of people in this that are good. Even the judge from the beginning of the movie is really fucking good.
Okay, the thing that kind of makes this movie stand out, there's the colorful supporting cast.
Yeah.
So, like, in the beginning of the movie, there's a judge when the guys are on trial for whatever, because they stole some cattle or whatever, right? Or
they stole some food.
Yeah,
or maybe they stole the cattle.
I couldn't remember.
They were going to kill it and eat it.
Right.
They were just saying we were hungry.
Right, exactly. But the cop is, or the judge
finds out they are Confederates.
Right.
And so he's going to throw the book at them.
But the judge is funny because he's like always like spitting. And if you look at the sign that says no spitting on the floor, there's a sign.
That was one of the first funnies. He misses once. And then he like takes a second look.
You know, just doing and the way he's got his voice like that, you know, but yeah, no, I just thought there was some really funny things in the film, but then mix it with this kind of serious plot of, you know, two guys on the opposite sides of the track. I thought it was really good.
It's different. It's weird how much this movie is an epic film.
It is
in an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I never heard of this movie, and I've watched a lot of westerns from the golden age of Hollywood.
Find?
Yeah. It's not
because of it's just being called Texas. Okay?
Yeah. Being this generic, this is another one. I don't think not on the level as Ladies in Retirement, but this is a little lost gem that I think is really good.
This is a surprisingly
It's a 3 for me. You didn't like it as much as me.
I'll probably go 3.
I think
I gave Ladies in Retirement 3.5.
I would watch this again because I would watch Ladies in Retirement.
Here's the thing. I think this is something I would happily watch with some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it is still another one. Here's the thing about Ladies in Retirement.
Yeah.
That's a slow-moving movie.
Yes.
And the rest of them after that, to this point, have been fucking mile a minute.
Yeah,
this is zoom.
This is a pretty fast-paced film too.
Yeah.
And the shootouts in this are pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good,
stunts
solid western.
Are like legit stunts.
Yeah.
At one point, I think it's Holden. No, I think it's Ford who gets like dragged behind like a horse.
That might have been Holden. I think that's Holden.
Real fucking long time.
I think that was Holden.
Like,
yeah.
That was when Holden was trying to escape.
Yeah.
And he got like in all the cattle, and then he like
Holden on the tail of
the cattle, and he was like getting dragged behind it, and I'm like,
that's really William Holden being dragged.
That's really fucking William Holden doing that.
I thought that was pretty awesome. No, this movie surprised me. For a good solid movie, you got good characters, you got good performance from the actors. Yep. You got a plot that's intriguing, that's interesting.
It's interesting.
And then you got
places you don't expect.
Yep, you got character actors. You don't know how it's going to end, and good shootouts, good action, good comedy. I think it's a good solid package. So it's a 3 stars. If you like old westerns, this is one that I think
it's weirdly hard to find.
I think it's
without a time machine.
Right.
Time machines make it easy.
That's right. Time machines go to see. I mean,
it's so expensive.
Well, Not if you stumble upon the time machine, but
well, the plutonium.
Is a little expensive.
We just used. Here's the thing. I'll tell you the secret how we get the plutonium. Everybody. We travel to the future where plutonium is plentiful, and we just buy it for cheap.
And
then we just buy gobs of it. Secret.
Yeah.
In 2034, plutonium everywhere.
That's only 9 years away, or 10, 11 years. Yeah, I can't even do math.
It's the atomic wars that make
I know.
happen.
Yep. Enjoy life while you can, folks. Okay, so
we're gonna escape into the past.
That's right, which we are doing right now. All right, our next film is Suspicion, and that's Alfred Hitchcock movie, an actual Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yes.
This is our second one, and our second Alfred Hitchcock Cary Grant one. Because we watched To Catch a Thief.
We did. Season, so. And then we also watched Gazebo, which references
Suspicion. Yeah, so I saw this is the only one I've seen before out of the movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I had never seen it.
I've seen this. This was actually believe it or not,
I had never seen any of these movies as far as I knew.
Believe it or not, this was actually nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
In 1941. And
it's not the best movie you watched.
No. And Joan Fontaine won Best Actress.
Oh, really?
I like her.
She's pretty good in it, actually.
Yeah.
She's pretty good.
She's good. I love her eyebrows. She's got these really thin eyebrows, and then when she makes faces, like one eyebrow like goes up the other,
she's like a crazy clown.
All right, so yeah, this movie is I wouldn't call this a typical what you would a Hitchcock film. It's a drama that has a little bit of like...
It takes a while to get to the suspicion part. Except for the part where Cary Grant is garbage.
The
entire fucking movie.
Pretty much.
And then at the end, you're supposed to go like, oh, good, at least he wasn't that. And I'm like, he's still garbage.
Yeah. Maybe he'll come around, but it was wrapped up in a nice little package at the end. Anyway, so Cary Grant, he plays this playboy guy or whatever, and the first scene of the movie is literally they're in a train, and he goes like, oh, sorry, I'm in this train here, and she's in first class, and this is a first class car. The guy comes and takes the tickets, like, oh, this is a third class, get out of here. And then she's like, hey, could I borrow some money? I want to be in the first class. And then he's like, okay, I'll take money. And he's like, I'll give you this, and oh, here's a stamp. He takes a stamp from her. Here, oh, that'll do. He's like, here, take that stamp. There you go. You can have this stamp. That'll make up the money of the movie, or make up the money on the train car. You don't remember any of that?
I don't remember any of that.
And anyways, so that kind of shows off, like, who is this guy? He's like a weird playboy. But then she sees his picture in like a magazine. He's like an eligible bachelor.
Yeah, he's a handsome boy.
Right. So she's like, but what he finds out later that she like cut it and like used it as a bookmark. She like tore it off in the paper and she put it in a bookmark. And then
I remember the bookmark thing. I couldn't remember what it was. Weirdly, I think in the beginning of this, I wasn't having an easy time paying attention.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I mean, this was our 7th movie yet.
It was the 7th movie, and I just watched Texas.
Right. But Cary Grant is pretty much introduced. He is a compulsive gambler. Mm-hmm. But he hides it pretty well. Like, in fact, she doesn't really figure it out until almost after they're married.
It's
like,
weird. Because there's all these things, and then as it's going along, you're supposed to find out about his lies. Yeah. And stuff like that. And then later on, the suspicion stuff starts. And I'm like, we're supposed to forget about all the horrible shit he's done that he actually has done?
Well, Joan Fontaine's character is Lena, and Johnny is Cary Grant. But Lena is, so she is like, she's supposed to be a spinster, but she is super hot. So I'm like,
stunning and also, what, 23?
Yeah.
Her ovaries are all dried up.
Yeah. So anyways, like, she doesn't go out and stuff, and she overhears like her family talking about like, oh, she's never gonna meet anyone. She needs to go to these parties. Cary Grant is like coming after her hard. Like, he invites her to church
because money.
Yeah, absolutely. But she overhears this, so she's like, well, okay. And then she starts kissing him because she hears people think that I'm not like that. Like, the next thing you know, she goes, I love you, and I'm like, oh, I think I love you too. And I'm like, and that's a common thing in like these 1940s movies.
It zips up fast.
That's usually what happens. So I mean, if you're not accustomed to watching like old movies, you're gonna watch it like, what the fuck? They just fucking met each other 2 seconds ago.
Luckily, I just watched a bunch of movies. So
yeah. So that's usually what happens in these movies. They're like, oh, they love each other right away. I can forgive that. That's fine. So then what happens is they're married and he buys a house for her, and then he pretty much reveals like, I can afford this. What are you talking about?
Yep.
And like, I can't afford any of this.
They have a mansion and servants, and he has no money.
Yeah, he has no money at all. So, but then he gets money like by gambling and stuff. He also has a friend.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
It looks like he gets money by gambling. You find out later on, nope, he just stole that money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then he did legit one in that race though, I think.
No, that was $2,000.
Oh, that's when he did that.
They were talking later on
right,
that he got $2,000 in a completely different way. It had nothing to do with that fucking race. Okay.
So, anyways, who plays, what's his name? Johnny's friend. What was his name? It was like a weird. Oh, Beaky. Nigel Bruce. He plays Beaky. I loved his character in the movie. He was fun to watch.
Which one is he?
Beaky. He was the guy that shows up. He's like,
oh yeah. Actually, I
like his.
He was amusing. He dies.
Yeah. Well, that's why.
But that was part of the suspicion.
Yes.
But that was one of the issues I have with this movie. Is
Yeah.
It's called Suspicion. So I'm like, so what? He just didn't do it. The movie's called Suspicion.
Yeah.
Which makes it sound like you're suspicious.
All
But
right.
he didn't do it.
So you find all these bad things about him. Like he's a compulsive liar, whatever. So what happens is he's gonna go into with his friend, the business partner, or whatever, and they're gonna try to get some real estate stuff. And he's like, actually, we're not gonna do it. Well, you find out that his friend dies. She has this thing in her head, like she even has a vision of him murdering him, like throwing him off the cliff.
Oh yeah, she has like a dream essentially.
Yeah. And she faints, and she's like, ah. Well, anyways. So you find out.
She's gonna leave him at one point.
So now absolutely. So the rest of the film, which is pretty much like the last third of the movie, you're trying to, because the first 2/3 is building up this relationship with him. So the last third of the movie, you're like, is he a murderer? What's going on? And then, is he planning to murder me? And so like the last 5 minutes is him taking her on a drive where she thinks she is going to get murdered.
The stupidest shit.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that he's like, I'm gonna take this shortcut real quick, and I'm like, and then he's not a murderer, and I'm like,
yeah.
What?
So the whole movie,
the whole stuff all happening in her head.
Well, so I get what Hitchcock's trying to do. Hitchcock is trying to make this movie where it's about not a murderer, but he's like, you know what? What if I make it? I want to put these things in to make it look like it's a murderer, and then it's not.
Yeah, so, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
So that's
I
what
just feel like weirdly. You could do it better. It doesn't seem so hokey and obvious that he is a murderer, and then somehow they act like he's not a murderer, and I'm like, are you sure he's not a murderer?
So when I saw this movie the first time, I actually really, really liked it, and then it might have something to do with watching Ladies in Retirement. When I watched it the second time, I actually I like this.
I think that was my problem. I had watched Ladies in Retirement, and I'm like. And this is called Suspicion.
Yeah.
But there was this other movie I just watched called Ladies in Retirement, in which shady shit is happening.
Yeah.
But there's also other shady shit and stuff, and I'm like, in this one, it's like, I guess he's just a bad husband.
Yeah.
It's basically his entire crime.
Exactly
he's terrible at being
a bad husband. So we'll say this. So Alfred Hitchcock's direction is fine. It's a very classy looking. It's not as showy as his other ones.
Yeah.
But he does a good job, framing his shots. He's Alfred Hitchcock, for God's sakes. And I think Cary Grant is really good at playing this skeevy character, because you really believe he's just this asshole character.
Actually, yeah.
He's really good.
Sorry, I'm super excited. So, actually, I do believe everybody in this movie is really good.
Yeah, Joan Fontaine's good. Nigel Bruce, like I said, is really funny. There's that scene in the movie where he's like, he can't handle alcohol or brandy, and he starts like choking.
Yeah,
he's gonna
which
die.
I'm like, is he allergic?
Yeah, it was
which
weird.
Is a thing that makes it look like, well, Cary Grant used that to kill him.
Right, exactly. And that was one of the things too. So I thought that was neat. Yeah, there is some cool stuff in the movie. I don't know. I didn't really buy that she would stay with him.
Yeah, I didn't buy that.
I had a really hard time with
Here's
that.
the other thing I didn't buy.
Yeah.
Does he stay with her? After this, he now knows that she just assumed he was a murderer.
Yeah.
And then he's just going to stay with her. And I'm like,
well, the way they wrap it...
that would be solid grounds for divorce.
The way they wrap it up in the end, because they wrap it up in like 30 seconds. She's just like, because he found out he was going to kill himself or whatever.
Yeah, that was this other plan.
Yeah, and then she's like, turn this car around, please, I just want to go back. And then she starts driving off, and then the car turns around, and you see his arm go over her, and then it's the end. That's the end of the movie.
But the scene, like literally right before that, Hitchcock tries to make it seem like he's trying to push her out of the
exactly,
thing.
But he actually
Only
is holding her.
Of the way he acts, it's very much like the way a guy would act who's trying to push you out of a car.
Yes.
Because he's like, I'm going to take the shortcut at the last second.
Yeah.
And it's right in the cliff's edge.
Yeah.
And the door over there has been widely known through this whole movie that it sucks.
Yeah, then it's gonna wide open, and then she goes, and then he pulls her in. So yeah, I thought that was a little too conveniently telegraphed. I think.
Yeah,
and
it was weird. I think it's most. I honestly was wondering if I would have liked Ladies in Retirement even more or less if I watched them in the other order.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I watched Ladies in Retirement, and then I watched all these not so greats in a row, and then Texas, which is okay.
I like Texas,
which is pretty good, and then Suspicion, and I'm like,
this isn't a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad
movie. I can
movie.
understand that people could watch this and go, really, it's fascinating, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
I just honestly believe Hitchcock could have done it better.
Well, this is another thing, too. So I watched it the first time, and I really liked it. But I think, for me anyways, watching it the first time, I didn't know what was going on. Watching it the second time, I already knew the end, so I'm watching
I didn't know what was happening, except for the fact that the name of the movie is just Suspicion.
Right.
So I'm like, that makes me, in the back of my head, go like, so it's a false suspicion?
Yeah.
He's not a murderer? But then as the movie's going on, well, he pretty much has to be a murderer. They're really basically telling me he's a murderer. And then at the end, he's not a murderer. And I'm like, that stuff was weird.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, and so watching it a second time, knowing what I knew, I wasn't enjoying it as much because I'm like, I already know he's not a murderer. So it's just like all this false stuff.
Because there's other movies. Because, like I said, I've watched Ladies in Retirement twice. It's better the second time.
Yeah, I imagine.
This movie is worse if you already know the ending.
Yeah, it's worse the second time. It's not as good.
Because I don't think it does that kind of thing where if you watch a movie where you know it, then you can like, oh, I'll look for all the crazy clues that I missed. There's no crazy clues.
No,
the clues are super out there.
No.
They throw them right in your face over and over.
So I was really disappointed because I really liked this the first time I saw it, and I was just like, oh, that's a bummer that I didn't like it as much. It's a 2.5 for me now. It's 2.5 because I think it's a really well-made film, really well acted.
That's the weird problem I'm having with it is.
Yeah.
This is by Alfred Hitchcock, and I honestly think all the bad decisions in this movie were Hitchcock's decisions.
Probably. Yeah.
So I'm actually going to go 2.
Okay. He didn't write it, but
because all the performances are amazing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, he didn't write it, but I also believe some of the filmmaking makes stuff that's supposed to be a little more subtle, not subtle at all.
Well, that's Hitchcock. Hitchcock is not a subtle filmmaker.
But that's the thing. Yeah. I think this movie needs a subtleness where you think that there is a chance that the stuff that's going on in her head isn't the stuff that's going on.
Oh.
But in this, the stuff that she's thinking, I was like, well, she's fucking right. Okay?
Right.
But she's not.
Right. Yeah, no, I was sorry. Yeah,
but she is because he's garbage.
Right.
He's a terrible person who married her for money and then stole money and blah, 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 blah.
So that was Suspicion. Our last movie is You'll Never Get Rich, which
I had never even heard of this movie.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. I've seen a handful of Fred Astaire films. I've seen 3 of his pairings with Ginger Rogers. So Top Hat, Gay Divorcee, and Carefree, which all 3 of those are fantastic. And then I've seen some of his...
I'm waiting for you to review this.
Yeah.
I want to know what your thoughts are.
Royal Wedding is really good. And then he also did Easter Parade. A really later one that I think is really good too is with Audrey Hepburn, Funny Face is a really good musical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then his Ziegfeld Follies, he's dancing a lot in that movie, and he's such a great dancer, and his dancing in this movie is also really good. Yeah, this is starring Fred Astaire, Rita Hayworth. This was one of her first starring roles in the film. Yeah.
Third military movie.
In
our World War II retrospective.
I didn't realize that this was going to be a military movie. I didn't know.
I didn't know that at all. And then, 20 minutes into it, he joins the army to get away from her. Yeah. But she follows him, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's the same plot as Keep 'Em Flying, almost. Like, what's happening? Anyways.
Kind of.
Well, so it starts off like as a backstage kind of comedy or whatever. So it's, where he's the director of a play.
This is, which at that point, I'm like, oh, this is like, isn't he like the guy who runs the play in like 80% of his movies?
Yeah. And it's not uncommon for him to do that. So he's running the show and he's doing the choreography, and then Rita Hayworth is like pretending to be bad so she could dance with him.
Yes.
To do this stuff. And that first dance scene is pretty fucking good.
Oh, God.
It's great. Most of the dancing is pretty good in the movie.
It has dancing.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yep, I'm glad I watched this movie. Because holy shit, that Fred Astaire and Rita Hayworth can fucking dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can absolutely dance in the movie. Robert Benchley is the kind of the third lead in the film, and he's kind of a character actor you've seen. He was in a Disney movie called Reluctant Dragon, which is really good. Robert Benchley is the skeevy producer that does the funding for all this stuff, and he's essentially always doing casting couching sessions, was what it seems like. He's always getting girls in the plays, like the like bracelets and getting their names.
Yes, in this, yes,
absolutely, and well, there's a mix up with that. Well, his wife comes in. His wife was actually pretty dang good looking, so I'm like, what are you doing?
He's a terrible human being.
Yeah. Anyway,
but also I'm not. I think it's mostly it succeeded on his wife.
Yeah.
So he keeps trying. I don't think it really succeeds any other time.
No.
They mentioned like another time, and it also didn't work.
No. So, but anyways, he's trying to get with Rita Hayworth, but then he's just like, "Oh, Fred, can you come in and you pretend to give her the bracelet?"
I bought that bracelet for you, so you could give it to her.
Yeah.
Which leads to all the trouble in this movie.
And it's funny because Rita Hayworth is like really into Fred Astaire until she finds out that he's scheming with the other guy to cover him. So she's just like, okay, I don't like you anymore.
Weirdly, other movies would have made that woman use that to make the relationship happen. In this, she immediately was like, oh, maybe not. He's kind of he's kind of sleazy.
Yeah.
You know what the movie we just watched where the sleazy guy?
Yeah.
In this one, she finds out he's mostly being blackmailed into being sleazy. He's not really that bad.
No. Well, anyways, he goes to the army and stuff. And then they have a lot of weird scenes in the army where they're trying to do like, are they trying to do like an Abbott Costello type movie? Because they're trying to do like this weird humor.
There's a lot of weird comedy stuff in
this. Well, they have that one guy.
Was pretty fucking funny. That mumble mouth dude was fucking awesome.
His name was Swivel Tongue.
Oh God, that guy's mumbling mouth where he would say stuff. And he's really good at it because I'm like, I felt like I should have understood that. But obviously not.
It's so weird how he does it. So he would be like, hey, I'm going to go over here and get the thing with stuff. And you're like, what? And then he's like, yeah, the thing with the shivel and the thing.
All the other people in the movie are like, what? What'd you say? And he repeats it. And he's really good at repeating the exact same thing.
Yeah, really good.
And you still are like not positive if you've heard anything. It's like, he's really fucking funny.
Yeah. That was interesting. And then they have that other bigger guy, too, that they intro, Cupid, the Cupid, like a Cupid doll. They could throw him in the movie. So they have this weird stuff going on in there. And then Fred Astaire he's been getting thrown into the guardhouse or whatever.
Guardhouse, which is where another spot where music happens.
Oh my God. The second guardhouse dance scene when he's dancing in the guardhouse was so terrific.
And that was just a Fred Astaire dance.
Oh, awesome.
It's so fucking
really good. Again, then they're like, hey, you are a guy that put on these plays and stuff. Why don't you put on a military show or whatever? So then there's like a military show going on. Robert Benchley
as much as I was in the beginning, I was like, oh, he's not going to run a thing anymore. By the end of it, it's still running stuff.
Yeah, and then Robert Benchley comes in with a new girl and is like, hey, she should be in it because, I'm casting couch. And then Rita Hayworth is like, no, Rita Hayworth's the one to do it, Sheila. And then there's more mishappings and stuff going on, which for me, it was eye rolling for me. A lot of the stuff.
It's weird because I enjoyed the dancing so much, and that one mumble mouth guy I thought was fucking awesome, and so weirdly it put me in a good mood. I was like, I was enjoying a bunch of the other stuff too.
I don't hate this movie. I loved all the dancing.
Oh.
I thought the mumble mouth stuff, not that it wasn't funny, I didn't felt like it belonged in this movie.
Here's the thing. I didn't expect it to be a comedy.
It's better than Abbott Costello.
And 15 minutes into the movie, you wouldn't know it's a comedy still.
Yeah.
But then it really gets crazy.
It does. And I felt like almost to a fault it didn't really fit the tone of the movie for me.
Yeah, I understand. I'm giving it 3 stars though.
Okay.
Because I really enjoyed the shit.
I'm giving it 2.5 because I really like the dancing. I think is really, really, really good in the movie. All the dancing.
Dancing and some of the jokes were legitimately funny.
The opening of the film.
This is the other credit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Robert Benchley is sitting in his limo or whatever.
Yeah, and there. Really cool credits right there.
And Robert's in the limo, and then he goes to his driver and says, hey, could you slow down? And then he looks out the window, and you literally just watch the titles on billboards going by, like on fences and shit.
It's really cool.
So they actually made all that stuff, and they just had the camera go by and show the credits.
This is really the other one, because Lazy Retirement, I'm like, they had to fucking make that shit.
Yeah. I thought that was really clever. I thought that was really cool. But then, and I think Fred Astaire is Fred Astaire. He's not the best. He's not an Academy Award-winning actor. He's just a great dancer. He's a solid actor.
He's actually kind of okay.
No, he's a good actor. He's fine.
I think he does get an Academy Award later or something. He gets nominated for one.
No, he won. No, he won Best Supporting Actor in The Towering Inferno.
Oh, that's a weird one to win in.
Right? Well, because he hadn't acted in a movie for like 15 years or whatever, and they threw him in here, and I'm like, let's give him an award.
Let's give him an award. He's Fred Astaire. You guys are all sad about Fred Astaire getting awards? No, he's fucking Fred Astaire.
Right. And Robert Benchley is good as the cheese or as the sleazy dude.
Yeah, he's funny. I thought his wife was really funny. That's why I'm like, this movie's funny.
Rita Hayworth is really good in the movie. She's really. I mean, she has a charisma. I mean, it's easily, you know why she became a star, because she has charisma like crazy.
Oh yeah.
The other problem I have with the movie, I didn't feel any chemistry at all between Fred and Rita.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. There is no real chemistry in there.
The other times I've seen some of these type of movies, I don't feel a lot of chemistry.
Yeah, I can see that.
Amongst the
there
leads.
is though, like in Singing in the Rain between Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly. I think there is
some.
I think there is.
It's kind of still like the weakest part of the movie is the chemistry. It's mostly, in many ways, watching Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
I'm like, I believe they are attracted to each other. Yeah. I don't think they should be together.
Yeah,
that's really what it is.
So I guess that was a lot of my problem with the movie. Anytime I was doing a lot of the love stuff, I was just like, I'm ready for some more dancing in the movie.
Yeah, luckily there's plenty of it.
Oh yeah, the dance, like I said, the dancing is really good. Rita Hayworth
starts right off like 2 minutes in. You're like, oh, here's a huge dance scene, awesome.
You know, Fred Astaire, arguably one of the best dancers in the world.
Arguably
in history. Well, not arguably. Well, some people say Gene Kelly, you know, but
you just said one of.
You're right. Okay, he is one of the best dancers ever made. Right. Okay. And Rita Hayworth surprisingly keeps up with him.
Well, here's the thing. At this point in time, one way to a career was just dancing.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we talked about Debbie Reynolds, who had to brute force her dancing in that entire fucking movie to such a brutal degree that she actually got pretty good and can use that in future movies.
Right. So Rita Hayworth, though, like, when I think of Rita Hayworth, I don't think of her dancing.
No, you're right.
So when I saw her, I was like, oh, wow, she's a pretty good dancer in the movie. Good dancer. Yeah. I thought she was good. No, it's a short enough movie that it is a completely watchable film. I can't quite fully give it a full recommendation, but I can give it a recommendation with reservations.
This is
because
the
dancing is great to watch. If you love dancing, watch this movie.
Yeah, it's like, you want to watch a Fred Astaire movie? You can go ahead and watch this. You're not gonna be sad because this has really good dancing.
Yeah.
And then that Mumble Mouth guy and some other stuff is funny, and I'm like, okay, sure, I like this movie.
Yeah, and like I said, I like that stuff. I felt like it didn't belong quite.
I felt somewhat bad at the end. I'm like, I like this movie a lot more than I like Suspicion.
Right.
And the Suspicion is fucking
Alfred Hitchcock movie. Well, you know, and the end of the movie though, it wraps up a little quick again, where they're like, she hates him, and then she finds out one thing. I'm like, oh, I don't hate you anymore, even though you just literally made me get fucking married to a real marriage license.
Oh God, that was real creepy.
That was a little too much for me.
That was a little much. He tricked her into marriage
in the play. Like, there's a wedding scene in the play. He gets a real guy to marry her, and he says, guess what? We're really fucking married. She's like, I'm getting annulled. And then Robert Benchley comes in and says, oh, actually, all the bad stuff you think he did, he didn't. She's like, oh, I like you again. Okay, we can be married for real.
Except for the part where he tricked you into marriage. He did do that part.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, you didn't do, like, any of the paperwork, so you're not actually fucking married.
Correct. Yeah, so... Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like I said, the dancing is the best thing in the movie. Watch it for the dancing.
Yes, so. I mean, it's that. And there's some funny stuff. It does have a problematic ending.
a little bit. Wow, so that was it. That was a fun 1941. But yeah, best movie, Ladies in Retirement,
oh, God.
Hands down.
Hands down?
You watch it right now.
It was actually, you gotta go watch that movie. Maybe even say the best. There's no male lead in Ladies in Retirement. The guy is close, but he's only in half the movie. Yeah. Okay? Mm-hmm. Best male lead, best actor.
I'll probably give it to Cary Grant because he does what he does.
It might be Cary Grant.
He does what he does.
Boy, we have co-leads in Texas, and they're both really good. But I think I'd have to give it to Cary Grant.
Yeah.
But female lead is
actually Ida Lupino.
It's Ida, and supporting actresses are both her sisters. I'm giving it to all of them.
Yeah. Okay? I'd probably give it to Elsa Lancaster.
Yeah, she was also really good too.
She was really good.
But boy, I really loved her sisters. How crazy and believably insane they were.
Supporting actor, I'm giving it to Edgar Buchanan for the doc. For the dentist.
That's a good choice. Dentist was good. I'm looking at the other movies. The Buddy in Suspicion is good.
I really liked him in it, yeah. But I would give it to this guy because he just had that.
God, he is so good. He's in a lot of the movie.
And you wouldn't suspect.
And he's integral to the plot.
I love it when he would like do dentist. He's like, oh look, you got this buck.
Oh God, he's like got like these ancient like drills.
Oh, this drill's a little dull here. Yeah,
terrifying. Get away from me, you psycho.
Yeah, he starts off as just.
God damn it, Texas was surprisingly good.
Yeah, Well, what's funny in that movie?
Two amazing freaking surprise movies this episode.
I think so.
I mean, if you watch 8 movies, I guess you have a reasonable chance to get some good ones.
And then I like Charlie Chan, and you liked You'll Never Get Rich.
I didn't hate Charlie Chan.
No, and I didn't hate You'll Never Get Rich.
I didn't hate Charlie Chan. There's another one that I liked it more than I expected.
Yeah.
But I mean, the problem we have both Ladies in Retirement in Texas, so that kind of pales.
Right. Yeah, Ladies in Retirement is so good. It's like I said, it's a better Hitchcock movie than this Hitchcock film.
It is. It is.
It feels more like a Hitchcock movie.
The story is.
And I even think the way it was filmed, like some of the stuff, like when that murder scene, when the way the camera's framed and stuff, I'm like, that's not unlike what Hitchcock would do.
But Hitchcock goes on location on most of his stuff. His outdoor shit is suspicious.
Rear Window.
It's all outside. Rear Window, it doesn't have to.
That's a whole entire set. If you're interested in like older films, especially older thrillers, Ladies in Retirement, like you would never get that from the title. You're like, oh, Ladies
you would
in
not.
Retirement.
That's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to watch that and Texas, because I thought the names were Texas is just hilarious
because
it's
Texas.
This is going to be the most western of all westerns,
and it ends up being a surprising good little epic western in 90 minutes.
It's 90-minute epic, and Ladies in Retirement is also 90 minutes.
Oh,
it's not. It's a different version of epic because it
really
is
good.
A slow burn.
It is.
It takes a half an hour for that murder, and there's a full fucking hour after murder,
and
of which she is like she figures out eventually that he knows from some stuff because all that paperwork shit. God damn, movie's good.
The scene when she finds out that he knows, like that does this close up on her face, and you're like, oh, is she gonna kill him? Like,
no, that was one of the best things. We're going back to Ladies in Retirement, right?
Yeah.
He's like confident that she won't kill him, and she's like, once you've already sold to the devil, it's easy.
Yeah, when she said that, it was like,
holy shit, he's dead. But he's fucking dead. They don't have guns.
Yeah,
so she's gonna have to strangle him.
Yeah,
could poison him.
It was really. Well, she's like, yeah, you'll never know. I'm gonna come.
Yep.
You never know when it's coming.
It's like goddamn that movie.
I might poison you.
Good.
I'm like,
just fucking watch that movie, everybody. It's just on YouTube. There's like 2 copies, so it's not going anywhere.
All right. The next time I think we are doing October 23rd, 1971.
71.
We're doing it. Yeah. Hopefully there'll be some like Halloween-y movies. So
71. Oh, yeah, you're right.
October 23rd.
It's weird how much they didn't really do that back then, though.
Yeah.
They didn't try to time their movie releases. Because I don't think The Exorcist came out anywhere near it. It was like an early summer movie or something.
No, Exorcist was like a Christmas movie. It came out.
I guess it's got Jesus.
But yeah, so it'll be fun to go to the 70s again. So yeah, well, until next time, I'm your host Austin Kennedy.
What'd you say?
I'm your host Austin Kennedy.
I'm Tim Kaiser.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Austin.
We did it. Bye. All right.
Bye-bye.